Good morning, chat. Hi. I feel like I look weird today. Maybe just because my hair's so pulled back. I feel like I don't look like myself. Yeah, it might be different timing for you. We had daylight savings time. Yes. That's got to be what it is. If you don't have daylight savings time, it might be confusing. But hi, good morning. Okay, so yeah, I don't know. I feel like my face looks not like my face. You know what I mean? Maybe it's because I'm not wearing long earrings. I'm not sure. Good morning now. Okay, so you guys come join us over on Twitch. So over on Twitch, we do a segment 4 days a week called Double Down on the News, where we take a look at the news. Long-form content, better for your brain, right? Way better for your brain. And you're going to learn more about what's going on in the world. On Thursdays, we do a separate segment called Theory Thursdays, but we're not doing that right now. So today what we're going to be doing is taking a look at the news. A lot of stuff happened over the weekend. You get to vote on what topics we want to discuss, and we go through them together, and it's awesome. And we learn a lot, and we teach each other a lot, and it's very cool. Last week, chat taught me about nuclear enrichment, and I am a better, more educated, and well-rounded communist because of it. So, you know, we learn about so many things over there together, and it's great. So come join us there. The Twitch is Madeline Pendleton, just like here, but with no underscore. And Jeff Buckley fans hate us, so that's got to be something good. Jeff Buckley fan 25 says, yikes. So if you want to be the kind of person that a Jeff Buckley fan hates, this is probably the place for you. Right? We are proudly the anti-Jeff Buckley contingency over on Twitch. I think he's a country singer? He's a country singer, right? Brody's an expert on THAAD missile systems, just like Danny North Korea is an expert on Korea. Pro tip, it's got 2 A's in it. But maybe you actually are spelling it like that because you're extra an expert. So that's probably why. You probably know something I don't. I'm so sorry. I just embarrassed myself because you are the expert and I trust you. With everything. With my life. Okay. So, he's not country? Who the fuck is Jeff Buckley? I'm looking him up. Chat, do you guys know who Jeff Buckley is? Real chat. Hi! First time chat, Starlight Loomis. Jeff Buckley's good. He would love us. Oh, really? He's a musician. How old is this guy? I thought this guy was 185 years old. He's born in 1966. Oh, he died in 1997. What is his song? I don't know who this guy is. I thought he was a country singer. He made the Leonard Cohen song famous. Okay, I know who Leonard Cohen is. Okay, Jeff Buckley's not who I thought he was then, I guess. I actually don't know anything about this man at all. Oh, first time seeing us live. Hello, welcome. I hope you like it. All right. I thought he was a country singer. He made Hallelujah famous? That's crazy to me. Is Tim Buckley a country singer? And he was anti-war. Okay, well, Jeff Buckley fan, actually, you are our target market. Come learn why the chat is saying Jeff Buckley would agree with us and not you over on Twitch. Tim Buckley, his dad, is a country singer. Okay, that's what it is. That makes sense. Okay, all right. Tim was a folk singer? Fuck, I give up, man. Ghost in this hell is motherfucking Monday, daily unfriendly reminder. I use they, them pronouns. Thank you, Ghost in this hell. His dad was an asshat. All right, I'm learning so much. See, this is the kind of shit we learn over on Twitch. You come out of this with a better understanding of the world, right? Okay, we got some... Is this going to be a fuck-ass statement from the 2-day party? I can't be let down again. That Communist Party statement was rough for me. You guys know that. It was rough for me. All right. How many people do we have over here on Twitch today? Oh, posting clips. Yeah, thank you. Yes, post clips. I gotta hydrate. 158. We can do better. We can get these numbers up. Yeah, okay. So, if you were a communist, then why are you using a capitalist-based app? That sounds like a question that you would know is stupid to ask if you joined us over on our Twitch stream and actually learned about what communism is. Right? Come join us. It's for you. Name on Twitch is Madeline Pendleton. If you're already watching live streamers, come do it on the right platform for it. All these apps, you know, they try to add shit that's popular after the fact, but it's like not what that app is for. It's like if Instagram had just stuck with being the photo app, if TikTok had just stuck with being the short form content app, Twitch would be the live stream app. That's what it's made for. It's better there. Come over there. I've got me this white phone. So yeah, come on over, join us. Join us. The area in Iran they said the Kurds lived in wasn't accurate. I know, yeah. We looked at it yesterday. They're up further north than where I thought it was. It's not the flat little plain. Yeah. Or not yesterday. We talked about it Friday. Yeah. Let's pull it up, though, to clarify. I think that is good to do. Ethnic map of Iran. Yes. I caught that. I was like, I thought they lived here. No, they don't. They live up further north than I thought. You're right. Let's look at an ethnic map. That's really good to do together. Okay. So, I'm going to pull this up. Okay, you guys, I want to be done here. How many people are over on Twitch stream? Are we up yet? 188. Okay. All right. So this is going to be another correction on yesterday. I thought this little area was going to be them because of the location, but it's not. They're up here further north. So on Friday, we talked about this, and we're like, here's their region because then they pass over into Iraq here. So I thought they were going to be here. They're here, which means this is a very, very rugged mountain terrain also, which means they're extra good at navigating the rugged mountain terrain. So that makes sense. Right? Right, yes, I am a communist. Well, you can't see it because you're not on Twitch. That's so weird. You guys would be able to see it if you were on Twitch, huh? Yes, of course they support North Korea. I'm not stupid. I'm not stupid and I'm not cruel. It is stupid and cruel to not support North Korea. Like, crazy. Like, it's like saying you don't support Palestine. That is exactly what it is like. Yeah, sucks to miss out on the really cool map we were just looking at. Right? Bummer. Kim is not cruel to his country. You don't even know who's in charge. Jeff Buckley fan. Now that I've learned about Jeff Buckley, you are doing a disservice to his name by manufacturing consent for war. He is apparently very anti-war, I've just learned. He would hate you. Jeff Buckley would hate you for spreading misinformation about political enemies of the U.S. government. How does that feel? I don't even know Jeff Buckley, and he'd like me better than you. If he was talking to both of us in a room about politics, he would look at you and he'd be like, fuck ass opinions. He'd look at me and he'd be like, high five, comrade. I just learned that. I don't even know a fucking Jeff Buckley song. You, Jeff Buckley fan, he would hate you. That's so embarrassing. Yeah, more boob. Wow. You should learn. You should learn something over on our Twitch stream. See how it's going. How are we doing? Stupid and cruel. Isn't that just American? Yeah. Yay! Content on TikTok got you to Marxism. That's the goal. Thank you. Thanks for joining us on Twitch. I think you're going to like it. I'm going to stop bullying these ding-dongs on my phone, and then we'll have a lovely and productive Twitch stream together. Oogie Doogie Doug is here. Oogie Dougie Doug. Ooh, Dougie Doug. How did I always read it as Oogie Doogie Doug? I don't know. Sorry. I got you wrong. 227. Okay, we're good. All right. So, you guys, I'm going to hang up here. Come join us over on Twitch. It's Madeline Pendleton there as well with no underscore. Jeff Buckley fan, because you're wrong. Come join us on Twitch if you want to not be wrong. Bye. Okay, hi. You know what, guys? We've got it all happening. I've got a huge delivery coming for work today from 9:30 to 1:30. I've got a sign up on the door. I've got my phone here ready to receive a phone call from FedEx should they come. If they come, I have to put up a screensaver, run over there, and then open the door for them and be like, dump it all in here. Bye, I'll be back later. So that's what we've got going on today. Additional updates for you all. Thursday and Friday, I will not be streaming this week. I will be in Colorado. Yes, Colorado. Okay? So, Thursday and Friday, no stream. All right? And then, hold on, let me look at my calendar. There's another one. It's important. What? Next week, the following week, I will not be streaming Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday. Okay, I know. We're going to miss 2 Theory Thursdays in a row. I know. So, I like the band, but Billy Corgan's a fucking dumbass. Okay. Yes. I'm just saying, no pressure, but maybe it's time for Virgo to get into streaming. I don't know. Maybe one of you want to take over while I'm gone to keep the good vibes alive. That's all I'm saying. Okay. So, all right. No pressure to Virgo, though. You're afraid to stream. Okay, not Virgo. One of you wants to take over while I'm gone and get started. Could be good. Okay. Now, next, you told your sister Nick Fuentes was a Democrat now, and she was like, yeah, join our side. Whose side are you on? She's on Nick Fuentes' side. There you go. We need a substitute. Greetings from Puerto Rico. Free Puerto Rico, always. Welcome. Puerto Rico will live to see its independence. I am confident a free Puerto Rico is in our future. Okay, so whatever. You guys, any volunteers for the Twitch streams, I'll put you up as the recommended when I'm gone. You know what I mean? And they just play on my front of my page, and I'll put a notice up. Okay, so, all right. Oh, Larry, everybody go keep it alive over on Larry's. Larry's been streaming a lot. That's a great idea. Larry has got it all under control. So Larry is going to be here when I'm gone. And I'll set up my account so that it just will show Larry videos at the top instead of my intro. So I'll make a note to do that. Okay, hold on. Twitch, autoplay, recommended while I'm gone. And then post schedule notification. Okay, so, all right. I'm going to be gone Thursday and Friday. Then, next week, I'm going to be gone Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and the next Monday. And I can't tell you why, but what I can tell you is that when I come back, we're going to be having some very, very interesting conversations. And it's going to be useful for us to discuss. Okay? So, that's what's going on. All right. Okay. And I'm sneaking into North Korea next week. It's going to be great. Okay. So, can't tell anybody what I'm doing. But I will say, you will be happy to hear. Not happy. It will be a knowledgeable and informing experience for all of us. Okay? Okay, so. Yeah. All right. Sad but happy for us in 2 weeks. So the schedule's going to get wacky, and I'm really sorry, and that's it. And, as you guys know, this is not my main job, so, but the money is nice, and I appreciate it. It's just helpful, because finances are fucked right now. While I'm gone at my job, which is Tunnel Vision, the clothing company, to keep money coming in, I am just going to put our entire website on 50% off for 2 weeks, because I won't have internet access for 1 week that I'm gone at all. So I can't work at all. So world is a dumpster fire. I am going somewhere without internet access. Whole website's going to be 50% off. And all of our pre-orders are coming today, so they won't even be pre-orders anymore. So that's to make sure money comes in while I'm gone. We got to do what we're going to do. Okay? Just buy it. Just buy things. It'll help us stay functioning. All right. Okay. All right. So that's all the updates that you guys need to know. So I'll probably start. Here's what I'm thinking I'm going to do. I think I'm going to do this week a Friday the 13th sale where I'm going to put a bunch of old stuff just on sale for $13 and a bunch of new jewelry too that we have a lot of. So a lot of stuff's going to be $13. And then I think on Tuesday, I'm going to do Tuesday the 17th, the whole website will be 50% off. So depending on the item, the $13 might actually be cheaper. But it's only going to be on some items. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. So everything's going to be super cheap. So if you've been waiting, now's the time to do it. And also, all the pre-order stuff is here, which is major. People had to wait like a year, like over a year for pre-order stuff from us, which is funny because everyone's always like, it's fast fashion. I'm like, babe, go tell that to the people who've been waiting over a fucking year for their shit to get made. It's not fast fashion. It takes like a long time to make shit. So I sincerely said 50% off. Yes, because I need money coming in while I'm gone because I won't be able to work, you know? So, yes, we ship worldwide. So, just so everybody knows, I'm going to be gone half of this week and most of next week. And I'll put it at the top of my Twitch, okay? Just so everybody knows. September, doing those. You're going to email about a style box you ordered back in September. Are you still doing those? It depends on what your email was. If you ordered a size 2X, we have been trying to source size 2Xs for forever, and we just can't find any product. So we just had to accept the fact that, like, it's just fucked up to make you guys keep waiting for 2X product that we can't find. So we're doing store credits for those. So your store credit will work in conjunction with the sale. So if you got an email giving you store credit for a size 2X or bigger style box we couldn't fulfill, keep your store credit and use it during the sale. And we don't offer them anymore. My new policy going forward after this whole fucked up year of pre-order hell, we were like, we're going to put everything on pre-order. It'll reduce waste. It'll be so good. No, nightmare. 2025 is the year of pre-order hell. I'm never doing anything on pre-order again. So after that, the only things we ever sell will be things that are physically in the room that I am looking at. Okay? So yes. So that's what's going on with my life. So that's just with everything. Put this on Offended. Oh my god, it's so great. I love this. So cool. Okay. So, these are all the updates. Getting a call, but not relevant for this right now. Actually, let me take a second. Let me take a break, actually, to answer this call, because it is important. And you guys, think amongst yourself. Share any links to news stories you might want to talk about today. And I'll be back in like 2 seconds, okay? Okay. Okay, did you guys send any articles? Yes, I see them. All right, I'm going to open them all. I'm opening them all. Okay, we've got some things. Let's take a look at what we're getting up. Virgo submission for the day. Raccoon child submission for the day. Short little article about China. Palette cleanser, Iran, Chinese children singing. Yes, yes, yes. Submission for the day. Anybody else have any submissions? Now with studio quality voiceover, 30-minute runtime. Epstein file article. Thank you again. Yes, I actually was looking for this the other day. I do not trust you, car. You need to relax. Talking too fast. New here. I don't know how to relax. It's not really something I'm good at. I am like an ADHD, just high energy explosion. Okay. So I also had some things saved that aren't articles, but are some things I thought we could look at really fast before we start. It's another Rickroll! I knew it! I knew it, Car! I felt it! I felt it! Okay. So, before we actually decide, I did have some things. You guys sent some things that might be nice little entry level. So let's watch this message from Che Guevara's daughter that was sent. I think this will be good for us to watch.
Es muy difícil. Hoy estaba repasando la letra de un himno que hay en Cuba, que se cantaba mucho al inicio de la revolución, que es guerrillero. ¿Saben lo que es guerrillero, verdad? Es decir, es lo que es Hezbollah, lo que es Hamas. Es decir, son los hombres y mujeres que luchan, atacan, se van de nuevo a sus escondites, a sus lugares de acopio, digamos, y después vuelven otra vez al combate. Esos son los guerrilleros. Son personas que están dispuestas a todo y a luchar por su patria y por su pueblo hasta las últimas consecuencias. Y aquí hay un himno precisamente a esos guerrilleros, que es una parte para mí muy hermosa, porque habla de esa resistencia. Y decía, por ejemplo, una de las partes finales decía, guerrillero, 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 adelante, adelante, que termine esta noche al final. Vas haciendo la paz con la guerra, con las armas de la libertad. Guerrillero, guerrillero, adelante, 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 que termine esta noche ya. Siempre el pueblo resurge adelante. Libertad, libertad, libertad. Es una de las cosas que más nos impulsaron siempre y que yo creo que impulsa a cualquier hombre y a cualquier mujer. Es muy difícil para mí hablar de estas cosas. Hoy pensaba en esas niñas que desaparecieron de pronto. Y yo soy pediatra y soy madre también. Y no puedo ponerme en la piel de una persona, de una mujer que lleva a su niña a la escuela y que después le dicen simplemente que ella no va a verla nunca más. ¿Cómo es posible que haya bestias que hagan semejante cosa? ¿Cómo es posible que haya alguien que se llame ser humano y que sea capaz de hacer semejante crimen? Hay cosas que no puedo aceptar y no puedo perdonar de ninguna manera. Y a pesar de que nos han enseñado siempre a ser muy cuidadosos, a tener una ética revolucionaria que no permita que nos comportemos como esas bestias, llega un momento que el dolor sobrepasa todo. Y lo que sí hay que hacer es seguir luchando hasta las últimas consecuencias. Y no por venganza, sino por justicia. Por justicia. Justicia a esas niñas que no podrán volver a ver el sol porque alguien acabó con sus vidas. Por una familia, por un hombre que fue siempre digno de su pueblo, de su gente, y que lo hicieron desaparecer por el único hecho de tener el valor de mantener sus ideales hasta las últimas consecuencias. Por eso hay que seguir combatiendo. No podemos claudicar. Ante este enemigo jamás se puede claudicar. Y hay que luchar por nuestras tierras, por nuestra soberanía, por la vida de nuestros niños, por la vida de nuestros hombres y mujeres. No se puede de ninguna manera claudicar. Hay que seguir adelante. A veces es fácil decir estas cosas desde lejos, yo lo sé, pero no nos queda otra. O seguimos viviendo y luchando por nuestros pueblos, o simplemente nos desaparecen de la faz de la tierra. El pueblo palestino, el pueblo libanés, el pueblo de Irán, sabe de lo que estoy hablando. Y espero que reciban este mensaje con toda la fuerza. Ojalá pudiera estar más cerca de ustedes. Ya soy vieja, pero puedo seguir haciendo cosas y puedo seguir luchando hasta los últimos momentos de mi vida. Y por ustedes lo haré tranquilamente. De verdad, mantengan la fuerza, la unidad. Es muy importante esa unidad para poder vencer al enemigo que tenemos encima. Acuérdense siempre del Che. Al imperialismo yanqui no se le puede dar ni tantito así. A los israelitas tampoco. Nada. Y me prometí que no iba a llorar, pero es muy difícil hacerlo. Y es muy difícil aguantar el dolor. Sobre todo cuando tú sientes esa impotencia de no poder hacer algo más por tu gente. Entonces, hay que seguir adelante. Y hay que luchar Hasta la victoria siempre.
Oh, so powerful, so moving, such a good share. Thank you all for, a couple of people said that. Thank you. Yeah, it's horrible. I mean, I've been looking, obviously, at all of the info about the bombing as well, and it's just, we really dehumanize people. And somebody, I reposted there on my TikTok earlier today, but they made a video just being like, why do you think we have to post so many pictures of dead children when they're brown, right? We don't have to post dead children when they're white. We don't post dead children from school shootings in the United States because they're already humanized. And really, when you post pictures of mangled children's corpses online from Palestine and from Iran, it's to beg people to remember that these are humans, because people are so fucking racist. They don't even register these as people. The dehumanization is so intense. So, okay, we have something else here that somebody shared that is a TikTok that's supposed to be about children in China and Iran.
Is
that right?
Iran official account posts a Chinese kid song on Chinese social media. Actually, I never heard about this song before because it's from 60 years ago. Let's hear it. Iran official account posts a Chinese kid song on Chinese social media.
Sorry. Okay, clicking the wrong things. Yeah, wow. That kid song goes hard. That's pretty wild. Those kid songs are better comrades, unironically, those children, than like half of American leftists. Right? Those kids. I stand with those kids. Those kids are my comrades, actually. Not American leftists. Not bread tube. The song's name is America's a Robber. So cool. So cool. Love that. They're teaching the kids. Okay, a few more things before we get started with the actual content today. I had a few things I had saved for us to look at. Now, the one thing I wanted to really look at, sorry for the music in the background, was I want to talk about the people who've been saying that the casualty numbers are much higher for American troops than what Iran is reporting. Or than what the United States is reporting, sorry. And I've seen a lot of people talk about this, and I was like, why are people saying this? Is it just like one of those things where it's like, it has to be, they blew up so many American military bases, or is there actual figures? So I have a few reasons, if you guys have been hearing this, where this info is coming from that I thought we could look over today. This is highly speculative. These are just best guesses. And that is the thing about current events. You're going to get things wrong in current events. They're going to be best guesses. You're also like, as some things become more relevant, we learn about them in real time together, and you just get things wrong. Like for me, being like, I think the Kurds are here, and then looking at a map later and being like, fuck, they're up here. It's like, well, I haven't really taken time to learn about where the Kurds are located in Iran yet, but it's very relevant to what we're talking about now, so now I'm going to learn about it. Or for me, learning about the nuclear enrichment was another thing where it's like, well, I've never actually taken the time to learn about what nuclear enrichment looks like if it's for energy versus missiles, because it hasn't been really relevant to much of my education, but now it is, so now we're learning. So when we talk about things in current events, I think it is important to remember current event spaces, you have more of a tendency to get things a little wrong. Individual people, their knowledge gaps coming out where they're like, fuck, I actually don't know about that thing because I haven't taken the time to learn about this from start to finish in a comprehensive way yet. We're doing it, some of it together. Also, just info is not super reliable. Info's coming out in conflicting ways. And obviously we don't have the benefit of declassified government documents to look back on in hindsight and see what was real and what was fake. So that's actually been something that made me really resistant to ever talk about current events in the past, but now I'm kind of embracing it and just being like, that's the nature of the beast. The nature of the beast is it's a little unknown and it's a little touch and go, and a lot of it is conjecture and a lot of it is best guess, and you have to get really comfortable sometimes with things that are wrong, right, in a current event space. And then, of course, what do? You issue corrections, and that's what we do. So, we issue corrections when we get things wrong. Okay, like, oh, the nuclear enrichment timeline. Oh, I didn't understand that. We got that a little wrong. Okay. Or the location of the Kurds. I'm like, oh, I got that a little wrong. So that's what we're doing in this space. And I think that we have to have that at the front of our minds when we talk about why people are speculating about the deaths being higher in Iran than what the United States is reporting. It's possible. It's also possible we're getting it wrong. These are best guesses that people have. It's just conversations. So let's take a look at these really fast. One more before topic. Okay, hold on. We'll look at this in a second. So I have two things I wanted to show you guys about why people are saying this and where it's coming from. I think current events really is an exercise in humility and just accepting that you don't know and things are coming out quickly and there's just like a lot of stuff. So it's been really positive for me because I think maybe I doubled down in history so much because I like to be correct. And with history, it's easy to look at things and be like, we know what happened, to the best that you can know something anyway, right? So this has been a very freeing experience. This is really an exercise in me opening myself up more to conjecture, hypothesis, talking about things off the cuff without, huge amounts of back knowledge ready and already prepared and written in 20-page documents before I go into a podcast about it. So with that in mind, I wanted to show this TikTok, which is why some people's reasoning is coming out that the casualties are higher. And this is just a random person, right? We don't have the poll ready yet. Everyone would be willing to talk about the Syrian Kurds and Rojava. You have a bunch of anarchists who's based their entire ideology on the Syrian Kurds power structure. That's really interesting, actually. That is not something I know anything about, but would be interested in exploring as well. There's an opportunity for us to explore that, for sure. I think that would be a very interesting learning opportunity for us. The thing about the Kurds, which is wild, I saw this TikTok, and I think I might have reposted it, but a guy was like, regime change, we're talking about a regime change, you know what that means? The Kurds are in the news again. And I really hit me, because I'm like, I really only, hear about the Kurds in conjunction with them being used and exploited by different powers for regime change operations. So first time chat, do we know if there's any truth to the king of Bahrain being overthrown? I obviously knew that there were protests going on in Bahrain. I haven't seen anything about that, but we'll see. Maybe it is something that we talk about today. So let's get into this kind of thing. So we've got people like this popping up all over the internet. Do I actually know that this guy is a U.S. Navy veteran? No, I don't know that he's a U.S. Navy. He could be. He could not be. He could be a random person on the internet. Right? So, but keep that in mind as we look at this. Yeah, I heard a rumor when dealing with unverified info a lot. Exactly. I think that's pretty good to do. I just saw it online. These are good phrases for us to get super familiar with and comfortable with, right? So, this guy says, I'm a U.S. Navy veteran. I do not support this war. Yesterday, I broke down why Iran is fighting the way they are, and today I want to show you the weapons, the math, and some maps. Because when you put it all together, the picture, I think that says the United States isn't showing you, comes into focus. Okay, I hate that music. Can you guys still hear it? I think I turned it off. Okay, sorry. Hold on. I don't like the way this is moving. This is upsetting me. And the music sucks. So hold on, we'll just talk about it. Forget everything you think you know about Iran's military. Most people picture outdated jets, old tanks, a pushover. Oh my god, this is so annoying. Pause. That's not what I'm looking at as a veteran. Iran has over... Oh my god. This format is not conducive to what we're doing here. 3,000 ballistic missiles, fair to say less now, the largest arsenal in the entire Middle East. Faster, more accurate, and harder to stop than most Americans realize. At this point, honestly, I'm just fucking screenshotting this. Because this is fucking annoying. Okay, whatever, here we go. And then the missiles aren't even the scary part. Iran Shahed drone cost them roughly $20,000 to $35,000 to build. Do you know what it costs us to shoot one down? Between $500,000 to $4 million. So you've seen a lot of people talking about this, right? Yeah. I paused it, but it kept clicking to I don't know. It was just being weird. Whatever. So this is what a lot of people are talking about. So if you use the low end here and the high end here, they're talking about how Iran's military strategy is quantity over quality, right? So what they're really saying here is, okay, look. Let's say it costs you $20,000, low estimate, to build a drone. And let's say it costs you $4 million to shoot that drone down. It also takes you a long time, apparently, people are saying, to build one of these systems that shoots it down. So you can pump these things out, these $20,000 drones out really, really fast. it takes you a long time to build a $4 million thing that intercepts it. Is that the THAAD? I don't know if that's a THAAD interceptor. I'm not going to pretend like I know yet, because we haven't done Weapons Wednesday. I'm not familiar with weapons systems. So this is the math people are looking at. When they say Iran is ready, Iran has a ton of these $20,000 drones. We only have a few of these $4 million shoot 'em downs. And so this is one of the cost kind of equations that people are looking at, right? So they're saying Iran currently has between 80,000 to 100,000 of those drones, and they can make them very, very quickly. And the point of these drones is they're like suicide drones. They're like, just send them in, blow them up, die. Like, it doesn't matter, right? Who cares? So, okay, so the THAAD is just one part of a missile defense program that includes Patriots and other systems. Okay, so I think this is the Patriots that they were talking about with the $4 million that are used to shoot them down. Is that correct? This is kind of what I was hearing. So, people are talking about how this is a money game. Like, this war is going to bleed the Americans dry. But also, logistically, we're just not going to be able to produce enough of these things fast enough to take on these $20,000 drones. We just can't, right? They are, and they're kamikaze drones. They are. They are expensive, and they are slow to make. Okay, so if you use the high-end estimates for both, they spend $35,000. Even if you use the low-end estimate, it costs us $500,000. There's over 10 times the cost. So as standard military practice means we often fire 2 interceptors at a single drone to make sure it goes down. One analyst at the Stimson Center said it plainly, we are using these interceptors faster than we can make them. So this is what we're talking about with the timeline. And Stimson Center, we know, is funded aggressively by the U.S. State Department and also by the Energy Department. They're in charge of our nukes, pieces like this. So Stimson Center is basically a U.S. government mouthpiece at this point. So if an analyst at the Stimson Center is saying this, it's probably correct. It also would probably be not in their best interest to report that. So if we're using the Parenti kind of reference point for how we take a look at what's beneficial or not to report from a source, we know that when a source is reporting something against its best interests, it's probably more trustworthy. So we could interpret this to be that the Stimson Center is reporting this and it makes us look bad. It's against their best interest, which means it's probably extra trustworthy, actually, that they're even admitting this. Or we can look at it the flip side. Somebody in the chat said military-industrial complex right now. It might be in their best interest to talk about these things because it does stimulate the economy every time we're at war. So, there's 2 ways. Oh, babes, yeah, actually, the North Koreans, we're all North Korea supporters in here. If you think I'm bad, you should see some of the other people in this chat. Oh my God, they love North Korea. Oh, well, can you imagine the horror of wanting to defend victims of American imperialism who we tested napalm on? Yikes! Who would defend people who had napalm tested on them by the world's largest superpower just for trying to expel an occupying army from their land? Supporting an authoritarian country is insane. Chat, did you guys know that North Korea is an authoritarian country? I didn't know that. Jewish gang in the house. Okay. Catch up, ding dong. We don't have time for your shit. All right, it's 2026. If you're not supporting North Korea in 2026, you're not learning anything. You didn't learn anything from Palestine. You're not learning anything from Iran. You got to catch up quick. All right, babes? We don't have time for the truth to surprise you 10 years from now. It's already been so many years. Like, you've had time. All right? We're done. All right, so this is the next one then. Now we say it just gets worse. During 12 days of fighting last June, the U.S. fired roughly 150 THAAD interceptors defending Israel alone. Each one cost $12 to $15 million, and each one takes years to replace. Heritage Foundation, that's the Project 2025 people, the I Love Trump, I Love War people, they found that from January 2026, they were warning that high-end interceptors could be exhausted within days of sustained combat. We're now in day 4. So for those of you who don't know, Heritage Foundation and Donald Trump actually have kind of an adversarial relationship. During the first Trump presidency, they hated him. They were like a never Trump Republican kind of thing. When Trump won and it became clear to a lot of people in the Republican Party that his brand of politics was the future of their party, Heritage Foundation actually fired a bunch of their senior staff and replaced them with pro-Trump loyalists. So there is still a little bit of tension between them because they fought a lot during Trump's first presidency. But for a report from January 2026 to be like, hey, our high-end interceptors are going to be exhausted within days of sustained combat, this seems to be like Heritage Foundation is taking more of the Charlie Kirk approach, which is that, like, yes, we're conservatives, we're Republicans, but like this war is not financially in our best interest or something like that. Okay, Virgo gulagged the North Korea hater. Yeah, can be done. They don't want to learn. They don't want to learn. Yeah, that's a Rose Project 20. Well, Project 2025 actually is just 2025's version of something called the Mandate for Leadership, which is something they come out with, Heritage Foundation, every single presidential cycle. So every year they come out with their Mandate for Leadership, starting with Reagan, I think was the first person who ever got one in his hands, and presidents will implement whatever percent of it they find prudent. So Project 2025 is just their name for the Mandate for Leadership. So a lot of people thought in 2024 that I was downplaying the significance of Project 2025. And that was like weird to me because I have 4 hours of podcast content about this. And my takeaway from it is that, like, no, Project 2025 is bad. But to act like it is unique is a problem. The Democrats are acting like it's unique because they want to capitalize off of it now as a scare tactic. They're not talking to you about the fact that the Project 2025 is just the 2025 edition of something that comes out every single election cycle, the Mandate for Leadership, and that Barack Obama's healthcare plan came from a mandate from leadership. So even though it's a conservative think tank that usually works with Republicans, Democrats have taken notes from the mandates for leadership as well. So I felt that was very hypocritical of them. That was the thing that I was talking about for that. So we have another source for the U.S. running out of missiles by any means necessary, and this is from Twitter, so we'll look at that in a second. Okay, so this guy, again, unconfirmed guy, random guy, could be lying, could be true, says Iran knows exactly what they're doing. This isn't random, this is a financial strategy. Flood the skies with cheap drones alongside ballistic missiles at the same time, which forces our defenses to track threats at different speeds and altitudes simultaneously. Drain our stockpiles, run out the clock. They watched Russia do this to Ukraine, and then they took notes. Now pull back and look at the map. Iran has location, and in warfare, sometimes where you are matters more than what you have. So remember, this was our analysis too. The topography of Iran is suitable for defense and not for offense. It's easier for them to defend themselves from that topography than it is for the United States to come in with boots on the ground, right? So, right next to Iran sits a strip of 21 miles wide. Also, the Strait of Hormuz, 20% of the world's entire oil supply moves through those 21 miles every single day, and yeah, they closed it off. Just the water. Now look at the land. More than half of Iran is mountains. The Zagros Mountains run the entire western length of the country, peaks hitting 14,000 feet. The Alborz Range seals off the north. Narrow passes, brutal terrain, nearly impossible to move armor through. Any ground invasion of Iran would be a logistical nightmare that makes Afghanistan look simple. So this is what we were talking about in the chat, right? Ground invasion is going to be hard. That's kind of why they need the Kurds too. The Kurds know the land. So the fact that the Kurds are actually situated in this mountain region and further north than I originally thought, because when I looked at the map, I was like, that's like uninhabitable land. That's why I was like, they have to live further down here on this flat area. No, they live in this land. They know this land. And so that's why the United States is really relying on the Kurds to be our boots on the ground forces there, because they know the territory way better than we do, right? Heritage Foundation, you tell people it started with Nixon and not with Reagan. Oh, maybe it's Nixon that was the first one. Thank you. Maybe that's true. Maybe... I get those two demons confused sometimes, unfortunately. Okay, link from Cromwell on the Discord. Okay, thanks. NK News even. Wow, this is like a treasure for me. So thank you for that possible correction. It could be Nixon that got the first. I feel like it was Reagan, actually, that got the first thing in their hands. But I could be wrong. So, all right. Then we've got the part that really matters. Iran didn't just build near those mountains. They built inside of them. Missile cities carved 500 meters deep into the rock. Tunnel networks running for miles. Thousands of missiles sitting underground right now that airstrikes alone cannot reach. One Iranian general put it this way: if enemies make a mistake, missile bases will erupt like a volcano from the depths of the earth. Okay, so... Iran also controls the water, controls the mountains, islands inside the strait, coastal missiles pointed at shipping lanes, fast attack boats ready, naval mines stockpiled. On March 2nd, they called it and officially declared the strait closed. Major shipping companies stopped moving immediately. Oil prices jumped 13% overnight. Analysts warned $150 a barrel if it holds higher gas prices. I think right now it's at like $100 last time I checked a barrel. Comrade Thuggin, you should do this. Write a Substack about how pro-fascist your coworker is. I'm arguing with him about why homeless and drug users should be given homes and not thrown in a furnace. I mean, I think it's like a case study in like where the American public is right now. And that's what I think of when I think of a lot of these people. They're case studies for where the American mind truly is. Yes, it was because of Nixon that Heritage Foundation finally got recognized, right, and got organized. It was like pretty low-level analysts in Washington, D.C. who started Heritage Foundation, the Project 2025 guys, and they actually went to the Coors Beer dudes to ask for funding. So Coors Beer is super, super right-wing, and they gave the Heritage Foundation the initial funding. First-time chat, grew up with RPG. The Strait of Hormuz will also destroy the market prices that will be increasing insanely. Yes, exactly. So this whole analysis is like, look, it's a logistical thing. That logistically they're very good at in a good position to defend themselves, but also financially, this war will be a financial drain on the United States. And usually we think of war as very profitable, so this could go either way, right? Yes, Reagan was the first president that got influence directly. That's what I thought. I thought he was the first one who literally got a copy of the mandate for leadership in his hands. And it's bigger than just us. China gets 25% of its energy through that strait. Japan imports 90% of its crude through it. The moment those lanes close, this stopped being just an American problem. The entire global economy is now sitting inside a 21-mile gap and a mountain range right now. Okay, so this is one person's kind of assessment of what's going on. And I like this because I had heard a lot of people saying things that were similar to this. And then I have one other thing as well that I wanted to share. So I asked actually on my Twitter, I was like, does anybody have anything close to sources for these casualty numbers being higher than what people are saying, right? And here is what somebody said. Somebody said, nothing concrete, but here are some links. Make of them what you will. For this idea that, hey, maybe these numbers are way higher. Some people are saying they saw Russian media sources reporting more like 1,000 dead U.S. service member. I have not been able to find that anywhere. So as far as I can tell, it's just people saying it on TikTok a bunch. That doesn't mean it's not true, but that doesn't mean it is true, right? So this is what is the closest to a concrete thing that we have found. So blood donations needed as drives return, and this is the Armed Services Blood Program asking military communities to step up and donate blood ahead of possible increased demand because of the war. So this could mean that they actually need it yesterday because people are injured, or it could mean that they are anticipating casualties because we are at war. So this is one of the four things this person presented with me, to me. The second is that military moms were just told that they're not going to be able to give birth at DoD hospital, at this largest DoD hospital, because of the Iran war. So some people are saying that this means that there's already so much destruction going on in the hospital, they want as few people in there as possible, and there's not room, and they don't want people reporting on it. Some people are saying that this could, though, just be in preparation for what they anticipate will be more. Just hold your baby in, girl. Just say no. Okay. So, you're not giving your gay trans blood to some baby killer military dog. Thank you, Ghost in the Cell. If you want your own blood, get it. Don't take my blood. It's in there. Like, come on. You don't get my blood. Yeah. All right. So, I'm opening this too. So, this is another thing that people are like, you don't really be like, hey, we need blood, and also you can't come to the hospital if shit's going super well. Just make more blood. Exactly. Who knows what's going on with this? The women are not able to give birth at the military hospitals. They're like, nope, figure it out. And they literally said this is what they got, like a text message or like a note. They said the closure of the hospital from the maternity ward was due to the hospital's primary objective, which is treating injured service people, right? But this report also said just 6 people had been killed, and this is the number that a lot of people are speculating sounds way, way too low. So they said that we are doing our utmost to assist you in transferring your labor care to the host nation. I don't know. And nobody really knows where they're supposed to give birth. All right. So then we have this, which is another piece of the puzzle people are putting together, which is a job listing for mortuary services and commemorative plaques for the U.S. military. Apparently, a lot of these offers these listings are new, that they are soliciting people for jobs that have to do with mortuary services, and also there have been some on this search so this is just a search for mortuary on the .gov website, sam.gov, that is to basically contractors, so you can pick up government contracts for work. So blood. You probably are changing the color of my blood. My blood's gonna be all red. You're gonna make my blood match my hair. My brown blood was retro. Dale, this is a great point. The military will not release anything definitive until the family is notified in person by a fellow service member. So some people think that they just haven't released the casualties yet because they have to go alert the families first, and this is a big process, right? Coffee-colored blood. So yeah, but we have seen an uptick in job listings from the military for mortuary services, and also for jobs where you clean up the personal effects of soldiers after they've died and inventory them and catalog them and return them to the family. So this is the response I got. This is the best response I got from asking, hey, is there any reason we're all believing this? I mean, it feels like it could be real. And somebody else shared this one. The Cradle Media saying deleted job listing raises questions about hidden U.S. military deaths. A now deleted Indeed listing, Dover Air Force Base in Delaware, was advertising part-time roles for personal effects specialists. This is the one. Okay, so this is a personal effects specialist tasked with handling, inventorying, and shipping the belongings of U.S. military casualties. The notice specifically mentioned processing the personal effects of service members killed or severely injured overseas. And then it was removed, and everyone's like, why? So that's what this is. Personal effects specialist, part-time, in Dover, a veteran-owned government contracting company currently hiring staff to process personal effects at Dover Air Force Base. So that's what this is as well. They're not informing families because they all have Ring cameras. They don't want that footage out. I mean, maybe. Chat, as an out gay teenager, you were turned away from donating blood and you cried. That is so sad. It's sad that the homophobic blood, they have homophobic blood drives. It's wild. And it's literally just like gay people have AIDS. And I remember when this law went into effect. It was just literally like gay people have AIDS. Gay people have AIDS, we can't take blood. So if you're gay, they're like, no. And I remember one time donating blood, and I was like, my partner that I have unprotected sex with is an intravenous drug user. Is that a problem? And they were like, yeah, that should be fine. Why would that be? It's fine. And I was like, wait, what? Like, what? But they're like, oh, you're gay? I don't know. That was a very heteronormative relationship I was in. I was still gay, but, they didn't think the relationship was gay. So they were like, that's fine, right? No gay blood here. No. Yeah, very, very weird. Very, very weird. All right, so that's what we got going on there. I just thought that was interesting to start us up with. Somebody else sent this as well, actually. 5 years of Tomahawk production was used up in just 3 days. So when that person was talking about they're timing us out, this kind of stuff could be true as well. And yeah, that's what we got going on. All right, so that said, let's get into our actual news today. Everyone knows the gay is stored in the blood. Yes, let me make sure that I didn't get my parcel notification yet. Okay, no. Okay, we're fine. All right, we're okay. FedEx just texted me and was like, your parcel's out for delivery today. And I'm like, we knew that. All right. So we have a few news stories to take a look at here. The ones that were submitted by chat are here. And if you're new here, this is what we actually do. What we actually do is we pick a news story to do a deep dive on. That's why we call it Double Down on the news. And people in the chat submit their stories that they're interested in us having us go through together. And we do a vote, basically, and decide which one we want to vote on. So here are the stories that I received. We have NK News, our favorite government-funded anti-North Korean propaganda slap. Seoul to seek peace despite North Korea's hostility at Party Congress. This is going to be a wild one, so we could do a little North Korea. Then we have the statement from the two-day party of Iran. I don't know if I can read this again. I'm like, oh, we read it. I think we read this, actually. Didn't we read this? We read this, I think, last week. Maybe? Or is this a different one? They're not coming out with statements all the time. Oh, yeah, no, this isn't the one we read last time. So we got a little statement. Okay. And then, yes, Yeah, we read the one on the protests. This is a different one. Okay. And then we have, it's time for the world to move on without the United States. Okay. The new EU world order is what I'm calling this. All right. China unveils ambitious mega projects in the 5-year blueprint. This one's a little short one, so we just do general China news, and then we can do Jeffrey Epstein. Okay, so here's what I think. That was your submission? Was it the EU world order, the new EU world order, Virgo? It is funny. It's really funny. You speak my language. So here's, I think, our categories. We'll do North Korea, China, the new EU world order, Epstein files. So this article has been interesting me to read. This is not from mainstream press. This is literally just from the Substack from somebody who's been one of our Twitch stream comrades here. But I'm really interested in this. It's a communist analysis of the Epstein files. So this is very fascinating to me. Big focus on Cuba. Okay, good to know. Thank you. This is the author, right? Just to skin questions. That's you who wrote it. So Cuba, basically. All right. And then let's do just like more Iran updates. So Virgo, sorry I did this weird, but I'll recap it now. So we'll say North Korea, new EU world order, China, Epstein files, and Cuba as a combo, and then we'll do Iran updates. I think that's it. You got it? Oh, okay, you did it. Okay, you followed my chaos. Yay! Oh, you said great. Sorry, I'm like this. All right, get your votes in, or you get gulagged. Everybody knows. Everybody knows. You know how it goes here. You know how it goes here, chat. Vote or gulag. Vote or gulag. Who is winning? We're counting down. I'm interested. It's going to be a real weird 2 weeks for me, everybody. Real weird 2 weeks. Beep. Beep, beep. Got a lot going on. The files. Oh, you can't see the poll. It should be at the top of your chat. Try. Some people said they have to like refresh and then it shows up. I'd be bound or gagged in the gulag. You're gonna be actually what they're doing with that spit roast in that video from the Taiwanese BDSM club that people tried to falsely claim was Uyghurs being tortured in Xinjiang. It's that. That's what's gonna happen to you in the double down gulag. Where am I going again? So this week I'm going to Colorado just because my partner's playing a show in Colorado, so I'm going out with them. And we're driving because they're worried about traveling with their equipment for music. So we're doing that. That's going to be major. And then next week I'm going on a super secret thing I can't talk about, but when I come back I'll be able to talk about it. And I'll be able to share a lot of info with you guys that you'll be very interested in. Israel and America are the strongest superpowers, especially when together. I mean, it's the United States, really. Israel's just like, we can do that too. United States will be just like you. We'll be like a little United States. So, you know, most evil, maybe. I don't know. Secret things. Yes, so we'll be safe. We'll be safe. It'll be good. My partner makes beat boot music. They make electronic music on hardware. It's like, they're like a raver. My partner is a non-binary raver that makes beat boot music at night. And in the daytime, designs baggage handling systems at LAX. They're a very interesting person. I think they do have a Bandcamp. If you guys want to check out their music is CRTR is what it's called. And it stands for Can't Read the Room. Because they're also autistic. And there's some very cute videos of them with like when they're on a contract, they look very normal. When they're not on a contract, they look like me. Like they have like anime pigtails, like purple pigtails, and we're like glitter. And it's really cute. And so it's very, very funny. We often like when I look at old pictures of them, I'm like, oh, we have the same hair. But now they look very normal because of their job. Yeah, non-binary raver is spiritually akin. It's like, yeah, one step removed from a transgender furry hacker. Yeah, My partner's great. I think they're very, very, very cool. Okay, no, new EU World Order 1. I'm very interested in this. I am going to table the Epstein file story, though, just in case, because it is very interesting to me. I need to read that. Okay, so let's get into the news. So this was Virgo's submission, which I think is very fascinating. It's an opinion piece on Al Jazeera that says, it is time for the world to move on without the United States. The U.S. no longer wants to be the guarantor of the world order, and it is time for the rest of us to take this responsibility. That sounds like a threat. Like, what do you mean a guarantor of the world order? Like, don't get me wrong, it is very, like, kind of scary how unpredictable the United States has been lately. But actually, if you've studied history, it's not that unpredictable. The only thing unpredictable is the language and speed with which we're doing it. You know, like, oh no, what do you mean the United States is bombing a country in the Middle East or destroying Latin American democracy because there's too many socialists there? Who could have predicted this would happen? Babe, this has been happening. This has been happening for like a century. So yeah, they make psytrance, I think, is the genre. Thank you, Bisco Witch, for sharing, and yes, everybody. So yeah, this is very fascinating to me, this level of delusion that the United States is suddenly doing something so new and shocking. But we know, obviously, we talked about this in chat, the only thing that's really shocking is that the United States is like, Europe, if you piss us off, you're next. Like, this was what the whole Greenland thing really did. It scared Europe. Greenland terrified Europe. They were like, what do you mean we're next? I thought we were cool, bro. Yeah, like, Hegel's big dialecticals, we had a 20-year military dictatorship because of the U.S. I forget what country you live in, and the sad thing is, multiple are coming to mind right now. I'm like, somewhere in Latin America. Is it Argentina? Is it Venezuela? Is it Iran? Like, it's not even just Latin America. It could be anywhere, and this is Brazil. Yes, Brazil. I didn't even name the right one. So yeah, this idea that the U.S. no longer wants to be the guarantor of the world order, babe, it has been the great destructor of the world order forever, right? So very, very, very fascinating. Now let's get into this piece written by C. Justin Robinson, a pro-vice chancellor of the University of the West Indies. On February 28th, the United States and Israel launched a war in Iran. The U.S.-Israeli attacks came without prior warning or approval by the United Nations. This is really what they care about. The United Nations approves us doing all sorts of fuck-ass shit around the world. The United Nations has sent their own boots on the ground, MINUSTA in Haiti, anyone to do fuck-ass shit all over the planet as well. Ring bastard, you support Trump, fight. Nobody's gonna fight you, actually. It's not that weird to us. This is the thing that also conservatives don't understand about actual communists. And I was talking about this on TikTok live stream, but it's like, I view you the same way I view a Kamala voter. Like, I don't agree with your politics. I think your politics are bad and you have false class consciousness and it leads to people getting killed. I also believe you think this way because of systemic reasons and it's not your fault, and education would maybe help you as long as you're not like a violent fucking bigot. But the thing is that most liberals, okay, look, like some conservatives are violent fucking bigots, right? Some liberals are violent fucking bigots, but a lot of conservatives are violent fucking bigots, very, very obviously. But more than that, a lot of the Republicans like don't think of themselves as violent bigots. They harbor violent and bigoted thoughts, but they themselves are not actively clinging to that as an important part of their ideology. And to me, I'm like, these people can be taught. Like, these people can have this framework shifted, right? And that's something that like liberals don't understand. Liberals, even as they cling to violent and bigoted ideologies as well, don't look at the Republicans as worthy of saving, but don't recognize those same tendencies in themselves, right? And I was talking about this on the TikTok stream, but it's like, liberals are so close to conservatives in terms of ideology, and they will literally be like, shun a conservative, I'll never talk to a MAGA voter again in my life. They can never repent for the evils of their ways. They will never come around. They are not worthwhile. They should be killed. I hate them. But then when a leftist who is way further from the spectrum than a liberal is, right, looks at a liberal and says, hey, you have some really fucked up ideologies that I don't agree with and I'm not going to support them and I don't think what you're doing is cool. They're like, how dare you? How dare you? And they have all these rules they want to make up for how you're supposed to, as somebody with left-wing politics, court and woo the liberals to your side. They don't give that same generosity to the Republicans. So the Republicans who are further right than them, they never want to fucking talk to again. They want to wipe them off the face of the planet. But now we all of a sudden, the Marxists, are supposed to be the most kind and gentle and patient people on the planet, with the liberals who are further right than us, right? And I just always think that's very, very interesting. To me, I look at a Republican and a Democrat, and I'm like, same team. You guys just a little different in the rhetoric, same team, same material harm. And as we all know, you can be a violent fucking bigot and racist and be a Democrat, and be a violent fucking bigot and racist and be a Republican. So obviously the current messaging of the Republican Party clearly seems to appeal more to the violent fucking bigots and racists, which we can acknowledge. But yeah, just this, I don't know, it's very, very fascinating. This is what I keep saying. Someone actually does need to work on recruiting from the conservatives, but the ACP's not doing it right. We need like a better version of whatever the fuck that is. That's not just homophobic National Socialists, homophobic Nazis. What's the non-homophobic Nazi version of that? Because there is an opportunity for that. Okay. So, sorry, little distraction from the guy who thought the communists wanted to fight him for being a Trump voter. Like, we're not fighting people for being Kamala voters, even though some of us want to, so what makes them think they're special? Anarchists are also pretty violent to their solutions with anyone that disagrees with them. This is super, super true, and this is so interesting, is that anarchists want to run around calling you a red fascist if you're a communist, if you're a Marxist-Leninist, but you ask them what their solution is to people with bad ideologies that need to be changed, and they're like, we kill them. We beat the shit out of them. We never talk to them again. And you're like, that is so carceral. And they think that the idea of a re-education camp, right, from the communists is somehow violent and oppressive. And it's like, no, because we actually believe a lot of these people can be saved. We believe a lot of these people are victims of their environment, victims of propaganda, and they actually do just need an education. And with the right education, they can be productive people in society. They can be comrades. They can learn things. We actually have the least carceral ideology when it comes to this stuff, and anarchists are very, very, very carceral, which people don't think about a lot. Oh, thank you! Gifted subs. Thanks. It's very, very interesting, though, to see this. Yay! Very nice. Thanks. So, all right, aside from the distractions, sorry, everybody. We're getting back into this. So the United States and Israel launched a war on Iran. The U.S.-Israeli attacks came without prior warning or approval by the UN. They targeted and killed Iranian Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. So, important to note here, the liberals are just mad that the UN didn't get to approve the bloodbath first. The UN has a history of approving bloodbaths, though, so I am to believe that if they had done the little song and dance in front of the UN would have been like, fine. Education is a dirty word to the right because it's cursive to their interests. That's true. The UN would have approved it. We would be in the same material conditions, just with a little piece of paper signed by the UN that's like, give it a go, blow them up, probably, is my guess. And we also say they targeted and killed Iranian Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. Again, they never really talk about the government structure of Iran, though, which I think is interesting and very clearly propaganda. I saw this tweet that was like, Americans are so fucking stupid. They don't know anything about Iran. They really think that, they killed Ayatollah Khamenei and he was a big bad evil dictator so the whole government would fall apart. No, you silly bitch. You killed basically the equivalent of Iran's pope. They also have an elected parliament system and an elected president, And people don't know that. They don't talk about this. You killed a 90-year-old spiritual leader. And that doesn't mean that he doesn't have influence over policy. Certainly he does. He's very, very respected in Iran. But I think it's just always funny. They're quick to say Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei without actually explaining what that role means and what that does. Lord Oxium, they don't want Americans to know Iran has a whole government and not just one guy. Brody, Americans don't even know how their own government is structured for the most part. Yep. They put another Khamenei now. USians will be so confused. Hegel's big dialecticals. Yep. And what's super fascinating is, this should be, I've said this before, this should be enough to break you as an American of the idea that Iran was a dictatorship. Because if it was a dictatorship, okay, you killed the dictator, so shouldn't the whole country fall apart? And one of the things my partner and I were talking about over the weekend is, what is the definition functionally that people are using for dictator? Because we're throwing it around the same way we're throwing around authoritarian. It's just big scary thing I don't like is a dictator. To me, the functional definition of a dictator that makes sense is if you kill this one guy, does the entire government system collapse along with him? Was he the only thing holding it together? If yes, okay, fine. You can call him a dictator and I'm not going to be mad. But if not, you have no fucking business calling him a dictator. How are you going to call Nicolas Maduro a dictator and then you kidnap him and what happens? Their normal government system happens where the vice president just becomes president because that's what their government structure is set up to do. How are you going to call Ayatollah Khomeini a dictator and then what happens? You kill him and they replace him with a new Ayatollah and the president and the parliament system still remains intact. How are we supposed to believe these are dictators when you kill them and the government structure still remains? How is any American believing this shit, right? Very, very interesting. I just don't understand this. Like, what is the mindset here? Iran was a dictatorship when we had control of their last leader, the Shah. Exactly. Under the Shah, it was a dictatorship. And look, the Iranian people had a revolution and they got rid of the Shah. And what happened? Now they have a new government. So Justice Skin Question says, people ascribe great man theory to the leaders of states that are ideologically opposed. They don't understand. Exactly. They're like, I don't get it. So it's got to be this one guy, right, doing it all. And that's the same thing that happens with communism as well when we talk about communism. They're just not defining things properly. And yes, yet the empire, as Socialist Doc says, wants to replace their system with a Shah. We literally want to go in and give them a dictator. And we talked about this, how Donald Trump was like, I don't even care if it's democratic or not. Who cares? Literally, we want to give them a dictator, just one that's nicer to the United States. Right? Yeah, MAGA's quick to call other leaders dictators, Brody says, and they call their U.S. president the commander-in-chief. Yeah. So just 2 months earlier, Justin Robinson says, the U.S. launched another attack on Venezuela, in which its special forces kidnapped Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro from his residence in Caracas and transferred him to New York, where he faces criminal charges in federal court. In between these two violent attacks, U.S. President Donald Trump withdrew from 66 international organizations, including 31 UN entities, and launched the Board of Peace, a new institution he chairs personally that he suggested might replace the UN. This is what we were talking about. Donald Trump wants to build a new UN that he's in charge of, right? We talked about this. We've talked about this on stream before. A lot of this stuff we've talked about. And Marxist Gamer Zero says, yeah, motherfucker wants to bring back the monarchy, and we're over here talking about dictators. The same people were like, North Korea's evil. They have a monarchistic dynasty. Not understanding North Korea's government structure. Are supporting the United States wanting to install a literal king, dictator king in Iran. It's just absolutely wild. Yeah, he's making something bigger and hotter than the UN, the Board of Peace. These and other developments in recent years demonstrate that the world order the U.S. helped establish in 1945 no longer serves its interest. And I mean, I want to take a second to talk about this. Yeah, we established it in 1945. It was some Cold War-ass bullshit, right? Like, we don't have the USSR anymore. Realistically, in 1991, this whole world order should have shifted. We shouldn't have NATO anymore. That was like a Cold War era initiative. We should have things a little bit different. But it never happened. And it's happening now. And it's not happening in a way that the UN likes. You know? Is it a change for the better or worse? It's the same bullshit. It's the same bullshit. And this is what Donald Trump is really all about. He'll take a system that liberals love, and he'll be like, we hate that system, fuck that system. And then he'll recreate something similar to that system, but just where he has more power over it. So a lot of liberals are like, well, you love Trump because he abolished USAID or cut funding for the National Endowment for Democracy or the USAGM. And it's like, I don't care. That's an empty gesture. I'm not stupid enough to think that Donald Trump cares about stopping American propaganda. He just wants to do it different, you know? He doesn't like that one. He doesn't like the one that the liberals love. And it's the same thing. It's like the UN. I don't fucking love the UN. The UN has done some of the most fucked up shit on the planet, right? Donald Trump being like, fuck the UN, I want to do the Board of Peace. That doesn't mean anything. He just wants to make another weirder fucking UN. And that's what it all is. That's what it's all about. Bye, Ghost in this house. So Justin Robinson is saying these and other developments, right, are demonstrating that the world order that we used to have, the 1945 world order, right, the post-World War II world order, end of World War II, entering the Cold War, that we don't have this anymore. We can't rely on this anymore. For 8 decades, U.S. treasure, diplomacy, and military power sustained this architecture. True. What everyone's criticisms of how that power was exercised, and we have many, the scale of the commitment was remarkable, and the U.S. did not have to do this. It chose to. Very weird. It chose to as though it's a benevolent service. No, the United States tried to control the world. Since 1945, the United States tried to forcefully control the world, right? You know, the world of 2026 bears little resemblance to 1945. True, Europe has rebuilt. China has risen. Canada, Japan, South Korea, and many Gulf states are rich. Brazil, Indonesia, this little weird typo, period, in here, but okay. Brazil, Indonesia, Nigeria, India, Vietnam, and other countries are on the rise. Today's threats, climate change, pandemics, terrorism, and others were barely imaginable when the UN Charter was drafted. It was not unreasonable for Americans to ask why they should continue bearing a disproportionate burden for a system designed for a world that no longer exists. So they're saying, okay, fine, it makes sense for Donald Trump to be mad that not enough people were contributing money to NATO, and the United States was carrying the brunt of this kind of military burden. But at the same time, it's like the United States set this up. Why? Because we wanted the spoils of the war. So you have to have the biggest army to be able to claim the biggest portion of the spoils of the war, right? I think Fork might want something. I'm hearing something weird. Hold on, one second. I thought it might be Fork pawing at the dog door, but I think it was Zay scratching something. Sorry. Yeah, you were right. It was Zay. I'm just like so not used to cat in the house. Kitty. I was like, wait a minute, something's happening. All right. So anyway, getting back into this kook. So the question is what the rest of the world intends to do. For too long, multilateralism has been something the U.S. provided and others consumed. European nations sheltered under American security guarantees while criticizing U.S. foreign policy. I mean, true. Developing nations demanded institutional reforms while relying on American funding. Again, developing nations, usually heavily exploited nations, countries that were completely destroyed by the United States, demanded institutional reforms while relying on American funding. I mean, while this is like a wild sentence because this puts all of the burden on these countries, the United States bullied these countries into IMF and World Bank loans and bad financial situations by demanding financial austerity from them after we destroyed them, usually for having the nerve to be a little too socialist or for having resources we wanted. That's the actual story of what's going on here. Developing nations demanded institutional reforms, right, while relying on American funding. Exploited nations were forced to give up their socialist tendencies when they tried to reclaim control of their resources and were forced into bad IMF and World Bank loans. Small states like those of the Caribbean invoked international law as our shield while contributing little to enforce it? Like, what? Contributing little to enforce it. Absolutely wild. If we truly value the system, we must now demonstrate the value with resources, not merely rhetoric. A powerful first step would be relocating the UN headquarters from New York as an acknowledgement of reality. Why should the world body remain in a nation that is withdrawing from so many of its parts and building alternatives? True. Relocation would signal that the international community intends to preserve multilateralism regardless of American participation, and that we are prepared to bear the cost of doing so. Now, what's really funny is that the United States is becoming the rogue state in the UN's eyes that they always accuse North Korea of being, right? We're the rogue state. We're the one around the world bombing people, doing things all willy-nilly. We are the rogue state we were warned about. And there are so many options where the UN can be based. Geneva and Vienna can offer neutrality. Nairobi and Rio de Janeiro would center the organization in the global south. That's an interesting consideration, actually. An island nation is also an option. Antigua and Barbuda, Barbados, Jamaica, or I actually don't know how to pronounce this country. Mauritius? Pyongyang! Moving to Pyongyang, babes! What if North Korea becomes the new leader of the UN? Mauritius. Okay, Mauritius. Mauritania. Oh, Mauritania? No. With this? I think that's something different, right? Are we the baddies? Mauritius. Okay. Such a choice would underscore that this is now an institution for the vulnerable, not the powerful. So, plot twist, the UN is now uniting, potentially, this is this guy's proposal against the United States to defend the rest of the world from the United States. Now the UN is an institution for the vulnerable, not the powerful. BT dubs Haiti, sorry about what we did there. Korea, are bad. If the world can mobilize trillions for wars and bailouts, it can fund a headquarters move. More fundamentally, the UN requires a new funding model. The US has provided roughly 22% of the regular budget and far more for peacekeeping military operations. This dependency gave Washington outsized influence and made the organization hostage to US domestic politics. I mean, yes, they're saying it. We've been telling liberals this forever. The UN is compromised by the United States. The UN is disproportionately influenced and controlled by the USA. And they told us we were crazy. And the wild thing about everything right now is that Donald Trump is just so mask off, right? That now they are even saying, the conservatives are saying, the reality of the situation that we've been telling liberals is the reality of the situation for so long. Doesn't the veto make the USA the king of the UN? I'm pretty sure there are 5 countries currently that have veto power as permanent members of the UN Security Council. So not exactly, but it is more the funding influence is a part of it. Let me fact check myself on how many. Yeah, there's 5 permanent members. Here is the UN website, the right to veto. China, France, it was originally the USSR, right, starting back in the day. They originally got and then the UK and the United States, and now it's a different 5 permanent members. And it's because of their important roles in maintenance of international peace and security. And so, I think now USSR, obviously Russia. Makes absolutely no sense. I know. Yeah. Just because they started it. And France, you're like, what? France, okay. All right, so this guy goes on and says, if we value multilateralism, we must fill the gap. The EU, China, Japan, the Gulf states, and emerging economies must contribute commensurate with their stake in functioning international order. A diversified funding base would ensure survival and democratize global governance in ways long overdue. So again, what we said was the USA's disproportionate influence over the UN. Yeah, the veto power, but again, 4 other countries have veto power. It was more the funding. That they have so much sway that people would feel pressured to agree to things just to keep the United States happy so that the United States wouldn't pull out and we wouldn't lose their funding in the UN. But what the argument is here now is like, now we, other countries, should just contribute more so we're not afraid of losing the United States. Kubashi, that was a slur. France as a slur. Yeah. So Virgo says, I can't understand how we have this organization that's like a democratic organization of the globe. It has 5 unelected representative individuals who can just go, nah, we won't be doing that, each with complete authority. Yeah, it's totally bonkers. It's very, very weird and surreal. And even though the USSR was included, and China is included, it's like they're kind of outnumbered and outmatched and out-influenced. And when we look at China and like their current policy, right? China is non-interventionist. They are trying not to go to war. That is their whole thing. Taiwan had the China veto until the 1970s? Really? The Chiang Kai-shek government? I didn't know that, forbidden economics. So the UN was formally recognizing Chiang Kai-shek's government as the true government of China then until 1970 is what that means. That's very, very interesting. Very interesting. Until then, Nixon acknowledgement, yeah. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. I knew that there was international dispute over if they should just say fuck it and recognize Chiang Kai-shek anyway, even though he clearly lost. But I didn't realize it was like that, that Taiwan actually had the UN veto power. That's pretty wild. They used it to veto Mongolia's entry to the UN. Wow. Very, very interesting. Thank you guys for sharing this. Fascinating. So basically what they're talking about here is having the EU, China, Japan, and the Gulf states and emerging economies start funding the UN more, so they're not relying on the United States. And they say here, the urgency of these reforms is underscored by the crises now unfolding. The attacks on Iran risk a wider regional conflagration that could draw in the Gulf states, disrupt global energy supplies, and tip fragile economies into recession. The abduction of Venezuela's president has destabilized Latin America and set a precedent that no sovereign leader is beyond the reach of unilateral force. Meanwhile, the wars in Gaza and Sudan grind on. The Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo remains engulfed in conflict, and millions of displaced people strain the capacity of neighboring states. In each case, the UN Security Council has proven unable or unwilling to act, paralyzed by the very veto structure that privileges the powerful over the vulnerable. A relocated and revitalized UN, funded broadly and no longer beholden to a single patron, would not resolve these crises overnight, but it could act with greater legitimacy and less selective morality. It could authorize humanitarian corridors without fear that one member's geopolitical interests will block action. It could convene emergency sessions on energy price stabilization, coordinate debt relief for nations pushed to the brink of conflict by conflict-driven commodity shocks, and deploy peacekeeping missions that are not contingent on one country's budgetary politics. The point is not that a reformed UN would be perfect. It is that the current one is structurally incapable of responding to the very emergencies that demand collective action. So I think this is really interesting because, again, this is the stuff that Marxists, socialists have been saying all along, right? Oh yeah, Kissinger. I knew Kissinger was kind of a dingus. We've talked about this a lot. David always says that. So what's interesting now is that, yeah, even the liberals of the world are starting to acknowledge all the stuff that the Marxists and socialists were criticizing the UN for all along. This is completely ineffectual. It doesn't really do anything. It's disproportionately influenced by the United States financial contributions. What's the point of having this? Really completely useless thing. Calling Kissinger a dingus. Yeah, unfortunately I can't claim credit for that. David said it once and I lost it and I stole it from him. So that's a David statement and he's kind of right. Kissinger's brand of realpolitik saw Deng and was like, interesting. We can work with that. And my takeaway is that the United States is so ignorant about what Marxist-Leninism actually is that they failed to understand the Dengist reforms would not ultimately lead to capitalism, but were actually a strategic part of Lenin's description of state capitalism under a socialist model. Yeah, it's a David win. It's a David win. He also did support Pol Pot. Yeah, he did. Kissinger, not David. David is funny. Like, David is unfortunately a very fucking funny person. No, Dengism's not a real ideology. No, it's not. Okay, so the girls are noticing things in a non-anti-Semitic way. David loves Pol Pot. I heard him say that was fun. Fake news. Fake news. Everybody heard it. Oh, great. I'll tell him. I'll let him know. That's what's happening now. This is now canon. David supports Pol Pot. David Pol Pot collab. So, basically, yeah, the liberals are waking up to the reality that they've been in. This guy says every month of inaction widens the gap between what the institution promises and what it delivers. Yeah. Eroding the faith of the most vulnerable nations that multilateralism is worth defending at all. I don't think the most vulnerable nations, to be fair, ever had faith in the UN. I don't think there's a single vulnerable nation that was ever like, the UN will save us. That's a weird take. Climate architecture also requires particular urgency of action. The American withdrawal from the UN Framework Convention on Climate Change threatens the Green Climate Fund, the Adaptation Fund, and loss and damage mechanisms. For small island developing states and other climate vulnerable countries, these are lifelines, not abstractions. The window for building climate finance independent of U.S. participation is narrow, but it exists. Europe must demonstrate its climate leadership with resources. China, the world's largest emitter, has the capacity to become a major contributor if it wishes to claim moral leadership. For the Caribbean, this transformation demands both humility and ambition. Humility because we have long relied on frameworks we did little to fund. How are you, like, the Caribbean is one of the most heavily exploited areas in the world. Like, how are you going to fund it? Like, you were expected in many of these countries, right? Because is Haiti in the Caribbean? I'm really bad with what is the Caribbean and what is not, actually. You guys may have noticed this. Is Haiti in the Caribbean? Yes, it is in the Caribbean. Okay, yes, thank you. I'm all skeptical of myself now. With Haiti, they were literally demanding that Haiti give France money for the loss of slaves to French company and business. I mean, it's absolutely wild to say that you in the Caribbean need to contribute more to upholding this world order that statistically only benefits the most powerful countries in the world. France that has veto power over the UN. So this is actually one of the most like brain dead liberal takes I've ever seen. And I'm guessing, right, this guy is from the Caribbean, the West Indies. So this is like a major fail of identity politics, right? A liberal will look you straight in the face and tell you that if you think this guy's out of his mind, that you're talking over marginalized voices. He's literally from the Caribbean. He is literally a black man from the Caribbean. Why are you not listening to him about his own country? And then what does he tell you? That the Caribbean needs to give more to the institution run by fucking France with permanent veto power. They just very recently finished the payment. Yeah. It's just wild. Because it's like, what do you mean you didn't do enough to fund it? You funded all of it. The UK and France and the United States got rich off of the exploitation of people in the Caribbean. That money that they are using to fund the UN comes from the exploitation of people in the Caribbean. That's your money, too, going into it, right? Absolutely deranged position for this guy to be taking. So weird. If a liberal doesn't like you, you're doing it right. Yeah. Yeah, everybody from now on, new rule of engagement, France must be censored. It's offensive. You love to listen to voices, people. They're so funny. Yes, I'm like, I'm not going to listen to this guy. This guy literally said that the Caribbean needs to give more money to make Europe powerful. Like, what? That's wild. So weird. So weird. So, all right, let's get back into where I feverishly scrolled away to be like, this fucking guy, did I remember wrong? He is in the Caribbean. Yes. So, humility, because we have long relied on framework we did little to fund. You funded it all. You funded the entire framework of Europe with colonization, and imperialism. You funded it all, but okay, whatever. Ambition, because we have 14 UN General Assembly votes, moral authority from the front lines of climate change, and a tradition of punching above our weight. Okay. The Caribbean Community, CARICOM, should propose a resolution on headquarters relocation and funding reform, convene like-minded states, and strengthen the Caribbean Court of Justice as a regional anchor when global mechanisms falter. The blocs representing small island developing states, Africa, and other parts of the developing world have the numbers to reshape governance if they act in concert. I mean, also, I'm like, Africa, you're just throwing that in there. Like, shockingly, Africa has power. You're like, Africa is massive. Africa has so many different countries within its borders. It is a source of great wealth, right, that the entire world also exploits. But yeah, it's like Africa alone could completely reshape the entire relationship of the world's powers. That's why Pan-Africanist movements have been so terrifying to Europeans and Americans, white Americans, USA, right? It's absolutely bonkers. Like, that's why we assassinated Gaddafi in Libya, because he was working to build a Pan-Africanist movement. Of course, if Africa alone stood up to us in a Pan-African movement and a unified front, we'd be cooked. We'd be so cooked, right? So, I don't know, very, very interesting assessment. Very, very odd. And also, if you guys aren't familiar, if you're new to left-wing thinking, Pan-Africanism is not inherently itself a Marxist movement. You will meet Pan-Africanists who are not Marxists, but many Pan-Africanists are Marxists and many Marxists are Pan-Africanists. So it's like a Venn diagram, but instead of being like this, it's like this. A big crossover. So a lot of Marxist-Leninists you'll meet, if they are black Marxist-Leninists, they will choose to actually organize in Pan-Africanist groups rather than even Marxist groups, but that still fits in with Marxist-Leninist ideology. It's a liberatory movement, it's a liberation movement, and a lot of it intersects a lot with Marxist-Leninism. So Pan-Africanism is actually just the idea that Africa should be united as like the EU, how they have the EU, that Africa should come together and be united as a united front to stand up against the Western powers of the world. by any means necessary, says Americans lose their shit when they can't get their their fast food fast enough. They will do unspeakable evil to maintain their access to the essential crops and resources they extract from the African continent. And it's true, and that's what we did to Libya. We did unspeakably horrible things to Gaddafi just to stop the Pan-Africanist movement he was building, right? You're a socialist Pan-Africanist. Yes. Okay, great. See? Yeah, they're very compatible ideologies. So, again, they're not mutually exclusive. Like, it's not like you have to be a Pan-Africanist if you're a Marxist, or you have to be a Marxist if you are a Pan-Africanist, but they have a ton of overlap. So, you'll see a lot of those people in different spaces. Okay, so the U.S. remains the world's largest economy, its most powerful military force, and home to many of the institutions, universities, corporations, and civil society organizations that drive global progress. Americans who believe in multilateralism remain numerous and influential. The door to renewed American engagement should always remain open. And they're talking about liberals here. This is Democrats. Democrats believe in these systems. Republicans don't, right? But the rest of the world cannot wait indefinitely for U.S. domestic politics to resolve itself. We must build institutions resilient enough to function with or without American participation. In 1945, a war-weary and generous America chose to build rather than retreat, and that choice shaped the world we inherited. Chose to build rather than retreat, chose to dominate and conquer the world to spread American hegemony, but okay. In 2026, a different America has made a different choice. It's the same choice, just Europe's not being targeted now. That's it. It's the same choice. It's the same choice. Donald Trump just isn't asking for approval from the UN. It's the same thing. We should accept it without rancor and recognize it for what it is, an invitation to finally take ownership of the international order we claim to value. Okay, so this is this guy, right? He's campus principal of the University of West Indies, Five Islands campus in Antigua and Barbuda. Absolutely bizarre analysis, I'm going to say. Very, very weird. A very weird way to be like, the United States, I love you. I worship free market capitalism too. I don't blame you. In a lot of ways, everything you did was really nice. You helped us. You helped us by totally controlling the entire world and subjugating all of these other countries to your dominion. Thank you. Thank you for doing that. I loved that. That was great. You're a little weird right now. I'm fine with that. I am fine with that. I might just need to move different. You know, that's on me. You can't change other people. You can only change how you respond to other people. So I'm just going to change how I respond to you. And I'm going to say, I don't know, let's just move the UN to the Global South. Like, this is a very perplexing analysis for me. This is a very interesting situation. Comrade Thuggin, you're a Pan-Africanist, Marxist-Leninist. If you're denied from PSL for whatever reason, you're going to join a Pan-Africanist party. Yeah, it's a lot of people do that, and a lot of people who don't have Marxist-Leninist orgs near them will join Pan-Africanist groups as well. All right, so this is very, very weird, very, very weird situation. Let's see if there's anything else going on in the news that kind of talks about this, kind of moving away from the U.S. as a power. Because, I mean, the thing we can really talk about here is the idea that there is going to be a power vacuum if the rest of the world realizes they can't trust the United States. Because the United States can go rogue with Israel. We can go rogue with the Kurds, some of the Kurds, not even all of them. But we really do need some sort of support because we can't take on the whole world alone, right? So Donald Trump has kind of overplayed maybe the power of the United States, and we are very powerful, but a lot of our power comes more from finances than from military power. Not that we don't have military power. We certainly do. Our military spending is what? As big as the next top 10 countries combined or something like that? Well, let's say by country, 2025. Here we got an infographic. We love it. I don't know how reliable this info is, but we'll take a look and we'll use it for vibes. Defense spending goals. This doesn't help us. This doesn't have the big bad in it. Not in NATO. Oh, the country's not in NATO. Actually, this is just interesting. Let's just look at this. Okay. Percent of GDP. Interesting. Okay, well, that's a fun little thing for us. Okay, but let's go back and look at the actual defense spending by country. Oh, I have an Instagram infographic. We're gonna live out. We're gonna live out with the data. this is how most liberals, like, this is the extent of their research into things, which I think is really interesting for them. Like, it's just like, they never, like, will look beyond it. They're like, I saw an Instagram infographic, and I kind of think that's cool for them. Like, if you were a liberal, you wouldn't have to, like, study anything. This would just be, like, the one thing you look at. Oh, which is so cool. So easy. What an easy life. Okay, so this is what I'm looking at. Yeah, infographics on Instagram are like crack for liberals, especially if you're a millennial liberal. Oh my god. You're like, I saw a fucking infographic. Vibes-based politics. Yes. So this are the sources we have here, right? The International Institute for Strategic Studies. And U.S. represents, it would be adjusted figure. Russia represents national defense budget plus military research and development funding, military pensions, and paramilitary force budgets, and other military MOD-related expenses such as housing. So I wonder if the United States includes that as well. Okay. Germany includes special fund allocation, military pensions, and military aid to Ukraine. And UK includes armed forces pension scheme and military aid to Ukraine as well. Poland excludes armed forces support fund. Canva Premium, look at it go. Look at it go. So, this is really, I have to get better at infographics. This is how the American public learns. We need one of these. You know all the infographics that are like, communism bad, capitalism good. We need to start making versions of those to flood the internet with the opposite of like metrics at which only communism succeeds, like literacy rates, life expectancy, infant mortality rates. We need to do that where they're like excelling in communism. We need an infographic team, basically, to spread pro-communist propaganda. Is this the link we use? Let's see. Visual capitals. That's the one that I looked at earlier, yeah. Let me see though if this is... Hold on. Mine came from Instagram, but yes. This is the one. We gotta make pretty colors and pictures to teach the liberals about liberation. We're gonna have to do it. Okay, yeah. So look, it's like the United States is almost half of this whole pie. China's the next biggest. It's like a quarter of what we've got going on. Russia, big bad scary Russia, who's a constant threat to us and wants to wipe us off the face of the planet. You know, what is that? Like a sixth or something? A fifth or something like that? A sixth? That's wild. We have a long road to making pretty infographics. You're so right, Lord Oxium. Again, graphic design is not our strong suit. PSL is capable of this. This is really where PSL shines. They've got graphic designers in PSL. They could be the infographic street team. They are great at at graphics in general. So that's where we need to go with that. Okay, Germany here, UK here, India, Saudi Arabia, France, Japan, South Korea, Israel here, 34 billion, Ukraine, 28 billion, Poland. All right. So, yeah, we should start infographicing shit. Peace and Freedom Party needs a new website 10 years ago. I know. They've been working on updating it because so many people complained. Let's see what it looks like today. Hold on. David said he went on the website and it didn't even list the candidates. And I was like, you know, that's why would we need that? You either know or you don't. It's like going to a really cool restaurant that doesn't have a sign outside. If you know, you know. This is the Peace and Freedom website. I know. It's like logos cut off. I think it's like a WordPress site or something. But look at this. Look at this graphic of Karl Marx. Assad Snacks and Socialism Forum. I have such a soft spot for Peace and Freedom, though. I love them. And they got good information, right? There's some good info on here. They recruited from the No Kings rally. They're out there. They're doing it. Fastest growing political party in California. Just gonna say, PFP, 50 years of resistance. Love it. They do need a new website. they do need a new website. They really do. U.S. out of Venezuela. Oh, I love Peace and Freedom Party. God, I love them. They definitely need the website. Yeah. Yep. You joined PSL and they've already got some great material for an upcoming event. Yay! Awesome. Very, very exciting. Has anybody joined FRSO lately? I've heard a few people saying that they're joining PSL. Do we have any recent FRSO joiners in the chat? No? Can we look at it together really quickly? Bisco Witch, am I going to get rickrolled again? It's a PNG. I can't get rickrolled. It's a PNG. Okay, hold on. I'm safe. Oh, okay, here. Top arms firms pay shareholders more cash than they generate. This is very, very interesting. Free cash flow, stock buybacks, and dividends. This is really, really interesting. So this is a combination of Lockheed Martin, Raytheon, General Dynamics, Northrop Grumman. These firms receive 26% of Pentagon contracts. Fascinating. I think that they're like, oh, you went, okay, yay! We had some people. Just Lurking 26 went to an FRSO meeting Saturday. Mackenzie 1901 went to an FRSO protest Sunday. Yay! Okay, so we've got people joining the big two. I thought we had a big three. I can't be trusted for CPUSA, as we've learned. Don't trust me to talk about CPUSA. I'm too optimistic. I keep believing we can fix her. I know some good comrades in CPUSA doing good work, but you know they're fighting the uphill battle. All right. So, you know, I think they're going to turn it around. They're working on it. They're making progress. We're not ready yet. We're not ready quite yet. Microplastics. I had a solid week where I was like, CPUSA! Because Janko's in CPUSA, and she's a principal Marxist-Leninist, so I was optimistic. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, you went to a PSL Iran protest, but you're in DSA. Okay, cool. I would still recommend CPUSA over Trump parties. Yes, 100% I would. I definitely would. So tier 1 is Marxist-Leninist orgs. Two biggest nationally are PSL and FRSO, sorry. Second, I would say CPUSA. Third, I would say, I'm conflicted. I go back and forth on this. If it's get into a Marxist-Leninist caucus in DSA or do a trot group. Probably Marxist-Leninist caucus in DSA, actually, is my current thoughts on that. Yeah. Yeah, I know. I want everybody to get there. That's my thing. And that's the thing, too, about Marxist-Leninism as an ideology. It really is the most forgiving ideology. When you become a Marxist-Leninist, it's like being baptized, or not being baptized. It's like going to confession if you're Catholic. All your previous sins are forgiven, right? You become a Marxist-Leninist, and okay, you were on some fuck ass shit before. You were a liberal. You were an anarchist. You were a trot. I don't know, we're even a conservative. You were in the military. We're not going to be like, everything you did was perfect. We'll be like, these things were bad. But like, of course you can still sit with us. We are so happy you made it here on your journey, right? And I think that's something about Marxist-Leninism as an ideology, that it's intensely practical, and also one of the reasons we will win, because we recognize that so much about politics is systemic and is structural, and it's not about your individual morality for many people at the end of the day. And I think that is something very cool about joining a Marxist-Leninist org, is that you don't have to be super politically literate. You don't have to even know what socialism is. You can come from orgs where you didn't really like how things worked in the past, and most Marxist-Leninist orgs will open you with like wide open arms as long as you're not doing anything that's actively like harmful to people around you in the space, right? And even then, if you are, they'll be like, hey, maybe full party membership's not for you, but like maybe you can help us with these other things. We're really happy that you're excited. Maybe you're not ready for this right now, but help us with this one thing. Like, there's so much flexibility and room in Marxist-Leninism. First time chat. Yes, hi, Yummy Laz. It's we've completed 2 full months of streaming, so we're new to it. We, the chat, since you guys are always like, why do you say we? It's all of us, chat. It's not just me. It's all of us together. You really wonder how people who are housebound are supposed to join parties. So a lot of parties now are introducing more like digital action network type things. I know one of the things we're talking about for the Vote Socialist campaign, which is just electoralism on a Lenin model of electoral engagement. It's not like a full party. It's just that. Is that we're trying to come up with a way for people who want to help with the Vote Socialist social media to be able to do things kind of from home. So this month, we're actually going to be implementing some stuff. We're still workshopping it together. But a lot of people, when we post about the Marxist-Leninist candidates running for office, they get really excited because they like the platform. And for us, as Marxist-Leninists operating in electoral politics on a Lenin model engagement, the platform is Marxist-Leninism. And we are of the belief that most people will like Marxist-Leninism if they hear what it is, they hear what we want to do, and they drop all the Red Scare propaganda bullshit they have in their heads about it, right? So that is one of the benefits of running politicians. You look at Ramsey Robinson's platform for governor out in California, you're like, this sounds great. That's not just Ramsey Robinson's platform. That's a Marxist-Leninist plan for the United States. That's what we want to do for the United States, right? So people won't listen to that though. They're like, Marxist-Leninism, what? Like China, like the USSR? Everybody I know died. China killed 800 bagillion people. Everybody starved to death in the USSR. It's all just propaganda talking points coming out of their mouths, right? But if you say this is actually Ramsey Robinson's platform, people are like, I like that. That's good. So that's kind of the utility of us doing that in a lot of ways. Recently, someone said in the chat, if an article says revolutionary, it would probably be a trot article. This weekend, I started reading something that said revolution, and I was like, I wonder if this will be trot. And next thing you know, it starts bashing Stalin, and you start laughing with crazy. It's a trot article site. Okay, we found a shortcut for the trot. I do need to interview a trot on the live stream one day. Yeah, Tommy just killed all of us. We're in hell now. Your video on Ramsey Robinson's most popular video minute. You're really excited about that. Yay! So, what we want to do for these people, though, who are excited, they reach out, and they're like, Ramsey Robinson needs a Gen Z press team. And it's like, these are all communist volunteers, right? And a lot of them are actually Gen Z who work on Ramsey's campaign, which is funny. And to me, I'm like, does he? Like, he's a guy with a full-time job, and he's got 40,000 followers on TikTok, and he hit your For You page. But people want to participate, and I think that's really cool. So we are trying to come up with a way where people can have like talking points and guidance from the campaign to make their own content to put out there in the world. And we're figuring it out still. But I think it's going to be really cool. Also for you guys, Virgo mentioned maybe having Megan on the stream to talk about the Lenin model of electoral engagement. And I think it'll be hard to do with Megan because of her work schedule, but Lalo will probably come on. And Lalo is running for insurance commissioner out here in California. He's in LA where I am, so he might actually be able to just like pop over to my house and we'll do it in person, or we'll do it on a Zoom call or something on the stream. But he can talk about the Lenin model of electoral engagement because they're very, very used to, oh my God, Toby's here. We summoned him. Whenever we trash the trots, you appear. Yeah, Toby. You know, were you here the day that we made another trot leave because we said you're the only one who's allowed? Podcasts, we're just going to stick probably mostly with history. No, you weren't. Oh, yeah, another Trotskyist showed up and we were like, no, we're only allowed one. And we have ours. We got to reserve this seat for Tony Tortelloni. Toby Tortelloni. Only you. You're the only trot allowed in the stream. Yeah. So, yeah, but we're working on all that. But it is really inspiring watching people have such a strong positive reaction to the principles of Marxist-Leninism and what Marxist-Leninists want to do for the United States, right? It's like that meme that's like, Little Caesar's pizza tastes good as hell when you don't have some bitch in your ear telling you it's nasty. That is communism. Communism is good as hell when you don't have some American capitalist in your ear telling you it's bad. Right? Well, Meow Zedong Purr. On TikTok, Tony started out kind of as I'm going to call it a troll, under the name Tony Tortelloni. But then came to Twitch stream as Toby Torbolobi. So both. So it is Tony Toby. It is both. It is the same person. And that is really when we were like, you know what? So good. So good. Yeah, now you're a Trotskyist. And originally, Tony was not a Trotskyist. Was maybe a liberal? But now we've made him a Trotskyist. And my theory is that Tony just really wants to disagree with me, but was swayed by the principles of communism, so we'll take it. No, I don't really like pizza. I don't like pineapple on pizza, certainly. Improvement. You were soaked down. Okay, soaked down. So yeah, you're improving. So we like you. You're allowed to be here. It's the growth, lore dumping. Yeah. Toby's kind of a celebrity around these parts, if you will, for us. Just like Greg If you're on TikTok and you know who Greg is, Greg has never posted a video, but Greg posts really, really good comments. So a lot of us started following Greg just from his comments, so we could see them pop up, because when you follow somebody, their comments post at the top of the videos. And now Greg is like a communist TikTok icon. It's pretty good. We love Greg. Pretty positive. Okay, so, all right. We got a few more minutes left. Let me make sure I didn't miss anything. Nothing. I got nothing yet from FedEx. Let me make sure they didn't call and just dial once. No. Oh, he did. I'm 45 packages for you guys. Oh, no. I'm going to be there in like the next 2 hours. Uh-oh. I wonder if I can message. I'm going to try to message him. The guy called me. Hi. Hold on. Okay. We're going to see. Oh, I'm waiting on 45 packages that are like this big each. That are full of all of our pre-orders from last year's pre-order drop for work. And I'm the only one who can receive them. I'm just across the street. Yeep. So we'll see. All right. So we got a few minutes left here until this guy gets back to me, certainly. Do you guys want to take a few minutes to look at this Substack article from one of our streamer chat community? How are you taking them to the warehouse? So he's going to be bringing them to the warehouse. The warehouse is across the street from my house, so I just have to run over there and like let him in and be like, put them here. Okay, let's take a look at this. I've been interested in this as well. Yes, Justice Skin Questions. This is the article. So this is a Substack article written again by someone from our Twitch stream community. And this is about a communist kind of read through the Epstein files and what we have going on. So the only thing that scares capitalists is the title of it. I went through the currently available Epstein files and compiled references to socialism, communism, socialist states, and communist leadership. The Cold War supposedly ended more than 3 decades ago. The Soviet Union collapsed. Eastern Europe privatized and liberalized, and the ideological conflict that once defined global politics was declared finished. Yet if communism truly disappeared as a geopolitical threat, one question remains. Why does anti-communism remain so pervasive? Right. Great. This is starting great. I'm going to read it, if that's okay. I think this is really, really strong, and we all know the answer to the question is that obviously communism will win, and the capitalists know it. Yes, the link. Actually, can you, Justice Skin Questions, can you link it in here again? Oh, yeah, thank you. For everybody to look at. From sanctions and blockades to media narratives and academic discourse, socialist governments continue to provoke a level of hostility from the West that far exceeds the reaction directed towards other political systems. True. Authoritarian monarchies, military dictatorships, and oligarchic regimes coexist comfortably and are even supported within the capitalist global order, but perceived socialist states, Cuba, Venezuela, China, and North Korea, remain objects of intense scrutiny and relentless criticism. This persistence suggests that anti-communism is not simply a relic of Cold War ideology. It functions as something deeper, a structural response to systems that challenge the fundamental logic of capitalist accumulation and labor's relation to production. Yes. The documents examined in this essay provide an unexpected glimpse into how the hostility circulates among elite networks. The correspondence comes from the Epstein files. If you are at this point somehow unfamiliar, it's a collection of emails and communications involving world leaders, financiers, academics, political strategists, and media figures divulged reluctantly by the U.S. government as a result of Jeffrey Epstein's international pedophilic sex trafficking and blackmail schemes among the moneyed class. Within these exchanges, socialism repeatedly appears as a subject of commentary, speculation, and an ideological villain. I'm really excited about this because I had started compiling, by the way, some links just in my notes of like references I found, but this is great to see it all written out. It's great. Okay, Jews, Muslims, LGBT people, black people, migrants are blamed for rape, pedophilia, kidnapping, and murder, but these files you will only find rich people, millionaires, powerful people, the bourgeoisie, privileged politicians, and friends of the elite. It's like an infographic. We got an infographic to share. Individually, most of the emails looked mundane, with the interest or wacky few sprinkled throughout. Interesting. But when viewed as a whole, there's a consistent pattern. Socialism is treated not as one political ideology among many, but as a persistent problem that requires explanation, containment, or correction. This interpretation vindicates political theorist Gabriel Rockhill's description of the institutional production of anti-communist discourse within Western intellectual and media institutions. This reminds me, again, of the compatible left, the CCF, and how hard we worked even to have, obviously we have the right-wing anti-communists, but we also have communists, people who claim to be communists who are anti-communist as well, right? Okay, cool, great. This is great. This is really good. I'm very excited about this. So you can be a communist who is anti-communist, right? And that's what we see with these people who are from the Frankfurt School, right? Who are part of the compatible left is put together by the CIA under the Congress for Cultural Freedom, the CCF, that it came into Europe. And a lot of people who aren't in the United States are confused about how our government intelligence apparatus functions. So the FBI is actually for within our country's borders, and the CIA mostly operates outside of our country's borders. So COINTELPRO, which was the operation that targeted communists domestically within the US's borders, that was done by FBI. So FBI did COINTELPRO. The CIA is who's responsible for targeting communists all around the world in other countries. So sometimes when we talk about CIA propaganda, people will be like, I'm not even American though, and I believe it. And I'm like, babe, yeah, the CIA is for you. It's not for us. For years, it was actually illegal for Americans to consume CIA propaganda because our power structures worried that it would give us conflicting information compared to the narratives they were trying to advance domestically. And it was actually under Barack Obama that the law was changed. I think the Smith-Mund Act is what it's called. And a new law was passed that basically said if you request to view American propaganda that was created to share around the globe as an American, now you're able to. And just going to a website is considered a request to view that information. So now all of a sudden, Americans are able to stumble onto CIA-backed propaganda websites that were originally designed just for people outside of the United States to be able to engage in. Yes, and the Grand Wurlitzer, of course, which was the CIA funding a media analysis here within the U.S.'s borders. But again, that was usually about foreign policy, you know. And so that's kind of the breakaway. So the CIA can pay domestic journalists, but also in their efforts with foreign policy, it can pay them to go to other countries and do reporting there. It can tell them what to say in the news reports that have to do with foreign policy usually. Luke, the Voice of America YouTube channel, what is that? Oh, like the Voice of America YouTube channel. Yes, Voice of America. Exactly. That is part of the USAGM, which is government funded. Correct. Where can you read about the Frankfurt School being CIA? You can probably look up CCF Frankfurt School. Oh, here we go. We got an article on something called the Philosophical Salon. I've read this article before, actually. It's Gabriel Rockhill. This is the link right here. Probably the same. It's the same person, not the same one now. So this link here will tell you all about that. All right. So I'll give this link 1 second. I'll make a tiny URL. Tee-hee. I didn't get a text back from the guy yet. Ah! An error occurred. An error occurred? Why? Okay. Okay, here we go for this link, and this talks about that. So, yeah, you have many communists who are actually anti-communists, and the reason they are anti-communist is they are engaging in a specific, highly academic school of Marxist thought that sought to basically neuter Marxist ideology and make it purely an academic pursuit that would never actually take hold or take root anywhere that might create a real revolution that led to a tangible alternative to capitalism. And what we see is that Marxist-Leninism in particular, Marxist-Leninism specifically, is the ideology that is the biggest threat to American capitalism because it is the ideology that has led to successful nation building, right? The USSR, China, Cuba even, everything they've been able to endure, North Korea, all these places that are a threat to the United States, these are the places we call actually existing socialism. Those are Marxist-Leninist places. So the way to basically get a left-wing movement that is neutered, that will not go create more Marxist-Leninist countries, is to tell them, you're allowed to be a Marxist, just not that kind. That's not real Marxism. Don't do that. Do this other kind of Marxism over here, and that's where we really get the Frankfurt School, which seeks to make Marxism an academic exercise rather than a practical tool of liberation for marginalized people. Very, very fascinating. Speaking of the USAGM, what the fuck is Trump doing? Judges are stopping his loyalists from destroying VOA. Oh yeah, they're like... Obsessed. Like, I'm telling you, liberal institutions love the administrative state. They love all these little wide-reaching, I don't know, little divisions they've created. And Donald Trump is like, no, because he wants to just centralize the power under the executive branch. Be radical, left, socialist, Biden, communist. Exactly. That's what they want to do. They want to really neuter it. And that's why I ultimately was like, if Marxist-Leninism is the thing that intimidates the U.S. government, that terrifies the CIA the most, that's what I want to be, because that's the thing that works. They're telling you what works, and when they tell you who their enemies are. When they tell you our enemies are all these countries who have the same ideological system, which is Marxist-Leninism, they are telling you what their biggest threat is. Marxist-Leninism is their biggest threat. And that is why they are so okay with other left-wing political ideologies, right? Yes, reminder to the chat, Leaping Larry is our substitute teacher on Thursday this week and next week. Also on Friday if Larry's available too. Because I will not be here Thursday or Friday of this week. And next week, I will not be here Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Just remember, and if you live in Denver, Colorado, come see my partner play a show. It'll be fun. We'll have a good time. All right, so getting back into this lovely thing put together about anti-communism. If capitalism truly represents the natural and inevitable organization of modern society, why does socialism continue to provoke such sustained opposition? Anti-communism, imperial strategy, and ideological production in the Epstein files. Over the last month, I went through the currently available Epstein documents and compiled references to socialism, communism, socialist states, and communist leadership. The exercise started simply as a catalog of mentions, stemming from a curiosity. Oh, this is how I started too. Cool. But the exercise, once these references were compiled, a global anti-communism through line became impossible to ignore, and I had to write about it. The article is by no means comprehensive. I have left more references at the end of this note that can be viewed later with instructions on how to do so. Across dozens of emails, forwarded articles, and commentary from authors at the behest of Jeffrey Epstein, socialism repeatedly appears as a category of concern. Communist leaders are discussed as geopolitical threats. Socialist governments are framed as unstable, theatrical, or strategically problematic. Diplomatic engagement among them is interpreted through ideological language rather than conventional diplomacy. The persistence of anti-communism is a default interpretive framework among elite networks with a major global financial control. To understand why that pattern persists, it helps to revisit a theory written more than a century ago. In Imperialism, the Highest Stage of Capitalism, Lenin argued that modern capitalism inevitably produces global competition among powerful states seeking to access markets, resources, and labor. Once capitalism reaches the stage of monopoly and finance capital, to paraphrase Lenin, economic expansion becomes inseparable from political domination. To directly quote the first section of Imperialism, which will ground some additional points later in this note, half a century ago when Marx was writing Capital, free competition appeared the overwhelming majority of economists to be a natural law. Official science tried, by a conspiracy of silence, to kill the works of Marx, who by a theoretical and historical analysis of capitalism had proven that free competition gives rise to concentration of production, which in turn, at a certain stage of development, leads to monopoly. Today, monopoly has become a fact. Economists are writing mountains of books in which they describe the diverse manifestations of monopoly and continue to declare in chorus that Marxism is refuted. But facts are stubborn things, as the English proverb says, and they have to be reckoned with, whether we like it or not. The facts show that differences between capitalist countries, e.g. in matter of production or free trade, only give rise to insignificant variations in the form of monopolies or in the moment of their appearance, and that the rise of monopolies as a result of the concentration of production is a general and fundamental law of the present stage of development in capitalism. This is already so great. This is a great thing you've done. To directly quote the 7th section of Imperialism, in which Lenin defines imperialism by 5 of its basic features, these are ones we've already known, we've gone over it, but the concentration of production and capital has basically led to monopolies. The merging of bank capital with industrial capital has created finance capital. The export of capital is distinguished from the export of commodities. The formation of international monopolistic capitalist associations shared the world amongst themselves, and the territorial division of the world is cut up basically by the biggest capitalist powers. So we kind of are familiar with this, so I'm going to skip along for the sake of time. Within the system, socialist states represent a structural problem. They attempt to organize economic life outside the profit-driven logic of global capital, human-focused societies. That is why hostility towards socialism tends to be so consistent across time and across political administrations. More than mere ideological disagreement, it is systemic conflict required to maintain the hegemonic world order. So, socialism as a reflexible label. One of the simplest but most revealing moments within the files illustrates how reflexively the term socialism can be deployed. An exchange with Eva Dubin and other members of hospital leadership discussing labor relations within the staff union at Mount Sinai that prevented volunteers from performing unpaid work that would displace paid labor, Jeffrey Epstein responded with a single word: socialism. The remark is brief, but it captures an enduring rhetorical structure. Socialism here is not used as a technical description of an economic system. Instead, it becomes shorthand for any institutional constraint on private authority. Very, very interesting. And a side note, this interaction itself brings up the question of why he was trying to get authorization for a Russian girl to volunteer at Mount Sinai. Very, very weird. Organized labor is seen as ideological interference. The reflex has long been present in more legitimate American political discourse, where policies ranging from labor protections to public health care are frequently described as socialist, regardless of whether they actually alter the underlying structure of capitalist ownership or labor relations. Everything they don't like is socialism. And that's the thing about liberals and conservatives. Anything they don't like is communism or socialism. That's why you have Kamala Harris calling Donald Trump a communist. You've Gavin Newsom calling Donald Trump a communist. You've Donald Trump calling Kamala Harris a communist. I mean, everybody is a communist, basically. Anything you don't like is communism. So another exchange illustrates how anti-socialist arguments often appeal to ideas about natural hierarchy. In correspondence with Noam Chomsky, Epstein speculates about the relationship between biological systems and socialism. In a predator-prey system, all biology adverse to socialism fundamentals. He continues in the same message. I want to fund some seminars on power, financial, physical, military. Now, again, for anybody who hasn't looked at the actual files, you would think Jeffrey Epstein was an illiterate buffoon. The way this man writes is absolutely bonkers. Everything is full of grammatical errors, spelling inconsistencies, not complete sentences. Damn neocons and their socialism. Is very boomer on tech coded for sure. It's very, very wild. The juxtaposition is interesting, although the language throughout the message reads as strung out. Socialism is questioned as being potentially incompatible with biological hierarchy, while financial and military power are treated as neutral objects of study. The framing echoes a long Western intellectual tradition that treats capitalist competition as reflections of natural law, while falsely portraying collective organizations and community-based movements as artificial and coercive. And just to add to this, we actually know this isn't true. When behavioral analysts have looked at societies in crisis, where the structures of society as we think of it are actually broken down, and people are left to function on what we would consider a primitive, I know that word's not great, but almost an organic, unstructured way that comes from us innately. What all behavioral analysts have found is that the majority of people default to community-based action. People default to collective action, not individual action, most people. And that the people who default to community-based action have higher survival rates, have higher success rates, and that if anything, acting in a communal or group way is a biological imperative to help the human species survive. Which is very, very interesting. Yeah, I used to be a Chomsky fan too when I was an anarchist, and now all the anarchists on Twitter are trying to claim that he was a communist, and I'm like, girl, I loved Chomsky. You know why? Because I was a fucking anarchist, and we read Chomsky. Like, hello? It's pretty wild. So, yeah, now they're trying to rewrite history, and I'm like, no, that's an L I claim. I claim my L as an anarchist, and I could tell you because I was an anarchist, we loved Chomsky, and Chomsky was an anarchist. And yeah, the tweet, somebody cropped out the year that I was like, everyone should be more like Chomsky. And it was like 2011 or something like that. I'm like, yeah, I liked Chomsky fucking 15 years ago. Like, yes, exactly. That's how I know he's an anarchist. Pretty wild. Yeah, there's a certain section of like bizarre Twitter communist that wants to claim I'm not actually a Marxist-Leninist. They're the same ones that thought that my comment about commodity fetishism was incorrect, and I'm like, these people like aren't actually reading text, like they're not processing things. It's like very, very fascinating to see happening. Yes, Chomsky's very compatible left vibes with that shit. Yeah. Okay. So very, very fascinating. Oh, by any means necessary. Wow. So the Venezuelan crisis, right, appears repeatedly in the correspondence, often portrayed as evidence that socialism inevitably produces economic disaster, despite Venezuela not meeting the requirements to be considered a socialist state. In one exchange, Noam Chomsky responds to a question by Epstein about whether Venezuela represents socialism at its finest. Wasn't remotely like socialism. The entire set of private institutions was left untouched, says Chomsky. He also describes the country's economic situation as a major disaster, emphasizing the country's resilience on oil exports. And this is Chomsky's thing. Nothing's ever socialist to Chomsky. Right? It's not actually. The ones who think I'm a landlord sweatshop owner. Yeah, the same ones. The same people who have no media literacy are the same ones telling me that I am fundamentally misunderstanding capital somehow. And I'm like, girl, I've seen what you think is happening. I don't trust your reading of Capital, if you've even done that. Which is absolutely wild. What's also interesting is that if you have taken, not to be this person, because whatever, if you have taken any like college level course on Marxism and Capital, your instructors will also explain commodity fetishism the same way I did. That is literally how they will get you to like engage with the material as a practical real world exercise to get you to understand the abstraction of the labor from the item. And this is like a very common way to get people to engage with the text in academic settings. And I know academic settings aren't, you know, like we talked about Frankfurt School, there's a lot of this academic approach to Marxism that's not very tangible, but this actually is a pretty standard way to get you to understand and engage with commodity fetishism as an idea. 40 ramen equals 1 ring. We all remember. Now you know. Now you will always understand. Oh, this might be my guy. 10 minutes. He's going to be here in 10 minutes. Okay, that's our sign to end the stream today. We actually did really well. We did great. We made it through a lot. So everybody check out the rest of this article. I think this article is going to be a very good and interesting read. I'm personally very fascinated to read more from this article. We did it. We did so great. I'm going to go get 45 boxes of clothes. And just a reminder for people who stumbled in, my streaming schedule is going to be weird for the next 2 weeks. So I will be gone Thursday and Friday of this week. I will be in Denver, Colorado for my partner to play a show. Next week, I will be gone on a top secret trip that I will talk about when I get back. And that is going to be Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, and the Monday of the following week. All right, so I will not be here. So we are recommending that you check out Leaping Larry's streams. It's going to be very, very good. And yeah, we'll see everybody. And because if you would like to financially support me while I'm not working during this time, we will be putting my day job, Tunnel Vision, our entire website will be on sale. So this week we are doing a Friday the 13th sale where I'm making a number of items starting tomorrow, I believe, just $13 on the website. And next week I'm putting the entire website at 50% off, 50%, so I don't have to worry while I'm doing this trip out of town where I will not have access to the internet. So I just don't want to have to worry. So I just feel like if the website's 50% off, money will be coming in and I don't have to panic attack. So if you like clothes, my day job, as I am actually a worker, and not that streamers aren't workers, but this is not my day job. So my actual job is that I design clothing and jewelry, and it's for Tunnel Vision as my company, and everything will be on sale. Warning though, we ship slow. We don't ship super fast. We ship slow as hell. Sometimes people are like, why did this take 2 weeks to ship? Sometimes things will take 2 weeks to ship. I'm so sorry. So we are small. It's not a lot of us. So, okay, I'll post a link to you guys if you're interested in clothes and shit like that. That's it. Yeah, and we got like jewelry and stuff like that too. You know, there's some stuff. So, that's it. It's not fast fashion. It's very slow fashion. That's why the pre-orders that people placed like a year ago are just arriving at our warehouse today, and that's what I have to go pick and claim from FedEx. So how is shipping overseas? It's fine. I mean, you might have to pay customs. We try to catch things and mark them as gift when we can, but you know, it's illegal. So, you know, what are you going to do? I would check with your post office. If you contact your local post office, they usually will tell you kind of the breakdown on customs fees going on. But yeah, they ship kind of on the same timeline. Jewelry is good. Yes, if the clothes aren't your style, we have a lot of people really like our jewelry as well. 2 weeks is slow. Americans are too much. Yeah, I mean, people really yell it. Like, it takes 2 weeks to get out the door sometimes. Most orders ship within 1 week, but sometimes when things happen, some orders will ship the following week. Because basically once a week, because we're a small business, we make all our shipping labels for the week then. And if anything happens and we're like, oh, this didn't get printed for some reason, whatever, sometimes it'll carry over to the next week. So that's it. Yes, and we do carry plus size clothes. We carry extra, extra small through size 5X for anybody. So that will help me on next week's super secret mission. And when I come back, I'll have a lot of info to share with you guys firsthand about stuff that is going to interest you, I think. So, that's it. And thank you, everybody, for everything. And thank you, honestly, for, like, even subscribing here. I never really thought that I could have social media monetized in any real way. And after being, like, harassed and, like, just ran through the ringer on TikTok and for like no money because my account can never be monetized. It is so nice to be able to treat this as something that is like, like a job, and it is time, and it is work, and it is a part-time job for me, really, whether I'm getting paid or not. So the fact that you guys are like willingly spending, oh my god, this is so nice, Amish, thank you, willingly spending your money to gift subs to people and subscribe yourself, like, it's kind of like whoa to me, and I don't know if I say that enough. I'm like, thank you, really. The fact that I can make any money doing this at all is so cool, and I personally am really, really happy to be building the community that we are here with you guys. You guys teach me things. Like, it's such a cool experience to get to have, and it really has helped me reconnect with my favorite parts of the internet in a positive way that I thought was missing after my TikTok blew up and got so huge. So, thank you, not to be too sappy. I'm a crier. I will cry about everything. All right, but I'm gonna go claim my boxes, and we'll raid Leap and Larry. We will raid. Okay. Ah! All right, everybody. Getting ready. Did I do it right? Yes. And we go.